Got a lot to do today. Welcome to the live show. Welcome to live show. That is Billy Strings and Sierra Farrell at in Whitefish, Montana. I saw it in person.
Oh.
I saw it in person, and it was crazy. Him and Sierra Farrell, they're like from a different era. And
They are different.
I might have had some help, but it was quite the sight to see. I mean, the lighting, the whole thing was nuts. Cowboy Reed is joining me with the computer up here. He's the traffic cop today. I've got a new set, Dr. Fax and Macon on the casting couch, as I call it.
Bro, don't call it that. Like, don't call it that.
I aim to please, Dr. Fax.
Like, stop.
Hello.
What do you got? You got a hello today?
Yeah, casting couch.
Oh my god.
Couch, hello. Dude, I like this set. It's airier. You know, it's like we fit a bunch of dudes in here without feeling like we're talking to people in every different direction.
You said yesterday this was our third set. I think it's roughly the 24th
of
the set in
iteration.
this building. Yeah.
This is spring cleaning
Yes.
in the fall. Okay.
A lot of room for activities.
A lot of room for activities. Dude.
And it didn't take us as long to set this thing up as a group than it did you by yourself.
No. Those couches are great, but they're a bear to set up. Shout out Love Sack.
Shout out to the love.
They're actually not a bear to set up, but like if you're all by yourself, it might be.
Yeah. we
and I'm prone to
hanging.
frustration. Like putting something together. Like my wife puts all the stuff together in my house. My wife. You say you pull my man card or whatever, but
No, that's how it is in my crib too. My girl, she's like friggin' Bob the Builder, like
Bob the Builder.
Like for real, like I'm actually impressed at like how well she does with handling. Because I'm not good, just like you said.
Why are you surprised?
Because I'm prone to get frustrated at things.
I get frustrated.
Like little things trying to put together, and it's easy.
Okay,
it's
so
people.
we're here. Make facts.
More often in my life, I'm going to say, I'm sorry, I'm prone to frustration.
Isn't it great?
It's not so much me. I'm just prone to frustration.
Yeah, it's like, dude, I just can't handle it. But it's not me.
No.
Do you believe in life after love? Do you believe in life after the desk? I do. Do you believe in life after Zen 6s? You know? I do. I got a 3 in right now. It's doing the job. All right, so we're going to start. We got a big day today. We got a lot of games to break down. I know a lot of people probably look at the Sunday slate and they're like, oh, it's not as good.
And we want to, this is the BetMGM live show.
Yeah, it's the BetMGM.
So we want to shout out BetMGM and give them some love.
Yeah, as you know, we've teamed up with BetMGM. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all our picks, and we'll have special offers for you listeners each week. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code GREENLIGHT, and you'll get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. Number 1, download the BetMGM app and sign up using bonus code GREENLIGHT. Number 2, deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game. Number 3, you will receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets. If your bet loses, just make sure you use bonus code GREENLIGHT when you sign up. A lot of people are like, oh, there's so much gambling these days on podcasts. I'm like, yeah, there's also a lot of better help. Doesn't mean you're just calling a fucking psychiatrist, you know, uncontrollably dialing a shrink. Like, you have a choice. Do you want to play the game? It's a lot of fun. You got to be good at it.
And we like doing it.
We like doing it.
I don't know. I'm saddled with like $1,500 worth of athletic greens at my house.
You're saddled with the green?
I just love podcasts.
Dude, I mean, the podcast, what else is like a big podcast ad these days?
When you need to hire somebody.
Better.
Indeed.
We used to rock.
Tire Rack.
Tire Rack? What kind of podcast are you listening to?
Some good sports podcasts where Tire Rack.
Really?
Yeah.
We need to.
Square, if you're setting up a business.
Yeah.
Setting up businesses, mental health, gambling, hiring, and whatever dark web Nate's listening to.
Yeah, Tire Rack, dude.
You guys never heard of Tire Rack?
I've heard of Tire Rack, but I'm not usually like Huberman Lab's not like stopping over to Tire Rack, you know?
Everyone needs tires, man.
Yeah, everybody does need tires. All right. So, anyways, welcome to the chat, everybody. Welcome to the live show.
And we want to rip out. We started this last week.
Yes.
You want to
Game of the week.
Game of the week. What is it?
So last week we first off, do you like the setup, guys? I feel like this is more us. You know, just dudes sitting around.
And we'll mess with some cameras. We'll add maybe a camera or two so you get a little. Everybody can see it a little bit better.
I think I drank too much water. You ever drink too much cold water and you get cold? Yeah, I did that.
And that's why
I asked you to crank the
and I
AC.
confirmed which way we were supposed to go.
Last week the chat said, "Hey, mate,
Are you
weren't
anemic?
here." Huh?
Are you anemic?
What does that mean?
Like you get cold easy? Like
I think the problem is I'm 250. I used to be 270. I have more fat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, dog?
I'm never not jacketed.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I got this beautiful Houston Texans jersey.
oh my god.
Does it have a Kingston on it?
That they sent to me.
Fire.
Nah, Kingston's like, so I think they didn't mean to send me one at all. Because they sent you one now. And actually, like, I'm coming around on this jersey. I am. It's beautiful. I'm going to put it on during the Houston.
Kingston has a fire position where he can intercept or he can kind of finagle and get free gear from
Yeah, they
all
just
these.
sent me this thing.
That's so lit.
They sent me this YouTube check.
What size?
Hey, how funny is that this morning? I was like, we were talking about YouTube, and they were like, yeah, we were talking about a YouTube video, and they're like, yeah, well, that video is monetized. I was like, monetized? I was like, so you mean to tell me we're making money on YouTube? And they said, yeah, X amount of dollars a month. And it was not an insignificant amount of money. I said, how about that? I've never been told that we were making money on YouTube.
We just keep it for ourselves.
Where's this money? Yeah, where's this money going? Hookers
I don't
and
know.
blow?
Yeah, hookers and blow. Bananas and blow.
That's what I'm talking about with
Yeah.
Matt. Not the hookers, but the blow.
That's crazy if it is going to that because I have not gotten offered
Any hookers.
any hookers or blow. So I will be disappointed in my guys if that is true.
Somebody said crotch shot. Yeah, well,
Oh.
that's why I'm wearing jeans. You know, I'm going to be a jean guy, you know, the rest of the time in Studio J.
Jeans.
Yeah, because
You see the Beyonce commercial, Levi's?
was that Beyonce?
Bro, I was like, holy smokes, taking off the jeans and the laundromat? That's
Dude, hey, look at this hot chick marketing is back. Right?
I love it.
Like, just like, there was nothing about the commercial except for, like, this is, you know, Beyonce in her underwear.
Yeah. Levi's.
But we should talk about the jeans issue.
We should talk about the
Yeah.
The jeans renaissance that baggy is back.
baggy is back. Do you like it?
No.
Okay.
As a young man who came up in the era of yoga pants and tight jeans, no, it's very disconcerting.
I think baggy pants doesn't really work out for skinny guys like you.
Oh, I'm talking about women.
Oh.
But yeah, no, you're right about that too.
All right, cool. All right, so game of the week is going to be Commanders and Ravens, the Battle of the Beltway.
Oh.
Somebody's calling it that. I don't know. Yeah, fuck. I mean,
Should call it that.
teams. I mean, I don't even know what the Beltway is, but they use it.
495.
Stadiums are only
Traffic.
32 miles apart.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
And yet they are in different countries.
Correct.
FedEx Field is like, it's like they've let this thing rot. It's like off the set of I Am Legend.
So a
You
stadium.
just can't. You just can't. You just can't. You just can't.
He wants me to go to watch Jayden in person. I was like, I can't do that.
If we're going to be real NFL reporters, if we have
reporters.
potentially one of the greatest quarterbacks
You know, it's so fucking cold.
so
here.
close, we should go see a
That feels
game in
great.
person at some point, don't you think?
I guess so. But if we can go anywhere, then let's not go to FedEx.
Yeah, let's not get impaled by some falling rebar. Like, where'd that come from? No idea. It's just the fucking most dangerous stadium on the planet.
Hey, Magic Johnson, if you're listening, I want to come. All right? I don't know. These guys.
Hey, you! Couple weeks in a row. You know what he
These
said last
guys.
week? He said that the Steelers defense gives him a chubby.
I saw that.
You did?
Hey, Magic Johnson, I want to come.
To the stadium. To the stadium.
Written in Magic Johnson. All right, so game of the week, Commanders, Ravens. We're going to pick out a winner based on who gives us the most awesome random name. And it's got to be a random player for one of these two organizations, and it's got to be a retired player. So if you're talking about the former football team, the former Redskins, the first guy off the top of my mind, and this, like, it's one of those things. It's got to just be the first thing off the top of your mind. You think too hard, you try too hard. For me, it was Chris Cooley.
47.
He's got one of the coolest NFL commercials, busting his hand through the construction site.
Yes.
Wall of the construction site.
Classic personality, really good player. Ravens, I'll go. I mean, you guys got anybody?
Oh, yeah.
Who you got?
When I think old school Washington, it's always Big Daddy Dan Wilkinson because they made such a big deal of Dan Wilkinson and Dana Stubblefield.
That's right.
And did a bunch of magazine covers, and they were just always not good, which was good. For the Ravens, for me, positions tight end is Todd Heap. Todd Heap is about as random as it gets.
Flathead Lake resident.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Me and
guess
Todd
what?
Heap. What?
This is a Flathead Lake headband.
Really?
Hey.
Shout out to
Oh, I see it.
Montana.
I'll be damned.
Got the whole Lake County on there.
The whole lake on my forehead.
So we had Shaq on inside the NFL, and I told him a story about when I went to his concert in 1998, and he was tickled. It was in Flathead, but when he came on Zoom, it was me, Ocho, and Ryan Clark sitting at the chairs, and I always feel like most people when they get on Zoom are like, "Who the fuck is that guy?" Right? Like, and Shaq goes, "Who's the white guy?" It was awesome. And we became great friends. Who was the white outside linebacker for the Ravens? Jared. I should know this. People in the chat. Ravens outside linebacker. It's hard to. Jared.
This is not a white guy, but Ravens linebacker Jamie Sharper,
Yeah.
near and dear to our hearts.
Jarrett Johnson.
Oh, I don't remember.
Oh, I loved him.
Oh.
He was awesome.
I got one for the Commanders. Ethan Albright. If you remember,
That's super random.
Ginger.
he was.
Gotta say, I don't remember him.
Okay, he was a long snapper, and
I'm gonna grab some. You guys just
listen, long snapper for Washington back in like '08 maybe. And if you Google his name and his Madden rating, he put out a response to being the lowest ever rated in Madden.
Oh, I remember him.
He wrote a
That
letter.
was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me take my 3 out.
I got Bakari Rambo, retired.
Rambo, that's a
but
great all-time.
more recently, but he's got one of the coolest jerseys.
Somebody
in the
shouted
league.
out Donnell Ellerby, dude. I won a Super Bowl with him. We were on the Eagles team today. Okay. So that's the objective. Put in your names. The winner is going to get some merch.
And you got 2.5 more minutes to do it.
You got 2.5 more minutes. We will announce at the end of the show.
LeVar Arrington.
Terry Allen.
Dennis Pitta.
Oh,
Dennis Pitta.
Trey Johnson.
He had a terrible injury.
just off the name because it was in a movie. Billy Kilmer.
Oh, yeah. But like as in Bud Kilmer. All right.
Kilmer.
All right. Here's the deal. I got an America's team, baseball fans. The other night.
Subway Series.
Subway
Series.
Baseball's brutal. You watch for some of you, not all of you. Watch for like 160 games, and then it's over in 2 nights.
It's over in like
And then it's like the championship series. It's like the ALCS, the NLCS. It just feels out of whack to me. And then the ball's fair the other night, and they're just like, like what the? Anyways, my whole family's watching. They're all Phillies fans, and Waylon, my 8-year-old son, like after the game, he's walking back to take a shower, and he's all dejected, and he's like, "This is just like when Mom woke me up and Patrick Mahomes was celebrating." And he goes, "We lost to what was once one of the worst teams in baseball." And I was like, "Dude, you haven't watched a fucking game all season." It's like, how do you care so much? It's a metaphor for most baseball fans. I know many of you have scorecards and do the whole thing. but I get the idea that a lot of people like take the whole year off, and then for 3 nights they are all in.
Yeah.
Is that kind of how it goes?
Yeah, no, like October. Like, no.
Yeah.
If you're not a diehard fan, you're not watching till October.
There's no greater discrepancy from regular season to postseason than the sport of baseball.
Yeah.
Postseason baseball is intense.
Yeah, it's cool.
And shout out to the plucky underdog Mets with the highest payroll in the entire sport.
Right, Tanner? Shout out.
Nah, dude.
Tanner's a big Nats fan, and he hates the Mets, and he has a good point. He said they're just not fucking cool.
Yeah, no, like everyone that comes to the Mets loses all aura that they ever had. They're just a team full of goobers.
That's cap
and
and
cornballs.
That's cap and hate.
And Pete Alonso
Subway
is the
Series
ringleader
pending.
of all the goobers. Pete Alonso's the goober.
The polar bear?
Subway
Yeah,
Series pending, guys.
Nah.
Dude, you got to go back to the cocaine Mets, dude. They were
Yeah.
super cool when they
Yeah.
all did blow.
Do cocaine again.
Yeah.
Pete Alonso, do some cocaine.
I don't think he would.
No.
All right, Thursday night football, the reaction. Dude, lucky shit always happens to Seattle at home. You notice that? Oh, I don't even have my headphones in. Nolan's on the. We gotta get our.
You're right here.
I gotta get my shit together. Give me my headphones. But lucky stuff always happens to. And it's plugged in and everything.
Look at that.
We're cooking with gas this morning.
Mm-hmm.
I can remember like way back in the day when I was a St. Louis Ram, and that was our rival. You know, I remember where I was when the replacement refs gave him a win. You know, I remember where I was when they caught when the guy for the Packers dropped the onside kick. Like, it just felt like everything was luck for them. You'd go up there, they get a break, the whole thing, and I hated them. I hated the Seahawks. I don't hate them anymore. I gave them out last night. Congrats.
Thank you.
Thursday night time machine.
It's crazy that you gave them out for the win.
I'm trying to take the other side of him.
But the crazy thing is
Yeah.
you're the one that came up with the hangover theory. They played the Lions last week.
No, they played them 2 weeks ago.
Oh, they had a bye week.
But thanks for
Yeah,
bringing
Lions
that
won
up.
by.
They had a bye week.
I'd like to see. Yeah,
But-
they played the Giants.
Oh,
I'd like to give out a cease and desist to any podcast that's parading that take around as their own. I'm not on a lot early, but like something that stupid, I was on it very early. I mean, I'd like to see somebody who was tracking the Dan Campbell hangover before this podcast. Now, we had DraftKings Sports jack our take the other day. That's a
Crazy.
BetMGM take. Okay?
yeah.
DraftKings.
Yeah.
But, you know, like last night when they got that call, you know, you're like, all right, this is Seattle. This is what, you know, it's what's, they're going to finish this game.
And
They don't-
especially that kick return.
the kick return.
The call.
Well, you know, the kick return, and then they get the punch out that they give up the fumble on the kick. So that kind of all evens out. But like to get that call at the end of the game,
Did you hear the explanation about 4 minutes later?
yeah, it was that we didn't have good cameras.
Yeah, we didn't have the angle that you all had.
The fans
Yeah.
know what's going on, and we don't.
How is that even possible? Like, how is it
no
possible that the guys making the decision, officiating the game, don't have the feed that we do sitting on the couch?
Dude, just
It's
turn the
crazy.
fucking game on.
Right.
Why don't they just watch the TV copy?
But what are the people when they say they're going to New York? What are they doing? Because like,
Oh, no.
because it's just like they have to be watching the TV version too in there along with all the other cameras. It's like, how do you not see that? I don't understand it. I don't understand when they say we're going to New York. Like if they're scrambling around, if it's one person or a couple of people, if they're scrambling around,
They're going
what are
to
they
Eric
doing?
Adams.
Like,
Do you think they go to Eric Adams?
No.
your guy, Eric Adams?
I have a different guy. He's a official in the NFL. Sometimes we get together and play golf.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So he says that they're now talking to each other on the field via their earpieces constantly. They're no longer running to the head
Yeah.
official to communicate their call. And New York is listening to 100% of their communication.
Right.
Like even the, hey, Bill, you have a good weekend last
Yeah, yeah.
week, whatever
Yeah,
the hell.
everything.
They're
Yeah, I
hearing
played
all
golf
of
with
that.
with a real estate agent.
And yet they can't put on the TV broadcast.
yeah,
of the
exactly.
game.
That's so stupid.
It's
I think
so like
it's an obvious recovery.
Because then if they couldn't turn on the TV broadcast, then they'd never hear things like, you know, that Dallas is one of the best teams in the NFC.
Dude. That was crazy.
I'm like,
was-
Kirk, what are we doing,
was-
man? I love
I was
Kirk.
on the edge of my seat. I'm like, say Minnesota. Say Minnesota.
And then and then at the end of the game, he didn't say Commanders or nothing. At the end of the game, he's like, and we texted about this immediately.
Garendo
needs to score. That's not a that's not a get down situation.
No.
If Seattle doesn't get the ball run up their ass there and San Francisco finally scores in the red zone, then it's an 8-point game with 30 seconds to go or something. But like,
There's a chance.
they were, let me put it this way, they were not all over that
No.
last night.
Al, here's what Al did differently.
Meanwhile,
He was coached to be a little bit more excited.
yeah.
So he would still do like, and Smith fires it over the middle to Jackson. Smith and Jigba. Like, give you like a couple syllables every single call. But the meanwhile count was still out of control. Meanwhile, there's a hurricane ravaging the middle of Florida.
Meanwhile, the hurricane, yeah.
That's my favorite Twitter bit right now. You counting them.
I'm going to start doing the count.
Can you
You
count
should.
every week?
Yeah.
Um,
Probably get lifted by
Did you not? Yeah, it will be. It will be. Yeah, we've been keeping track of this trend. Do you remember? Were you watching the Atlanta game when he said when Ludacris came on screen and he was like, Ludacris bobbing his head with the music, bopping with the music, whatever. I'm like, nobody noticed that shit. It was like the best Al Michaels moment in a year. But if I told you that the Niners would continue to struggle in the red zone, they'd lose Jordan Mason for basically the whole second half. You wouldn't take a sack if you're the Seahawks. I don't think they took a sack the whole game. You'd run a kickback for a touchdown. All this stuff, including getting the biggest blown call of the game, that you would lose this game. I'd have said, I don't think so. And, we said, like, coming in. And, yeah, the Niners were – your brain says take the Niners, but if they can't score in the red zone, they leave people in games. And that's – like, Shanahan, the second half thing, Purdy has not played as well in the second half. And I just want to say this, like, Purdy is a good player. I'm not here to argue about Purdy. I'm not doing the Cam Newton thing from last year, nothing. I mean, the way he extends plays, the way he moves with his eyes downfield in the pocket, he got away with one throwing into cover 2 last night. I mean, I feel like I picked that ball off. But he is a guy in conversion situations that breaks your back with his legs,
Yes.
with his arm.
He converted like 3 third and medium, third and longs with his legs.
Yeah.
Just barely.
Barely,
Come
dude.
on, get there.
Because he's got really good vision. He really does, and that's the invisible trait of a quarterback. You know, we evaluate arm talent, we evaluate movement in the pocket, but seeing the field. You know what I'm saying? He sees the field. In the second half, though, he's not seeing the field, and I don't think Shanahan's calling a good game in the second half. And, you've got the whole theme. And that's another thing, like, how bad were the Seahawks in spots? So bad that the Niners didn't blow a fourth-quarter lead when it looked like they would. Absolutely. All that, everything I said about the Seahawks. And basically, Geno spends his birthday smashing his own head against the tablet. Because he forgot how to throw the football.
Or did DK not cut that off?
I think DK forgot how to catch.
DK, there's that, but how many picks do you throw?
Yeah.
How many picks do you throw in that game? It's not all DK. It's not all the receivers.
But to Cape, Joey Bosa had 14 pressures alone.
Nick.
I mean, Nick.
That's
Nick,
racist.
My bad. That is. my bad. Nick. Nick Bosa had 14 pressures alone, bro.
No. He's a pressure machine. I mean, that first pressure is, and you could say, like, hey.
You don't have to get sacks to affect the quarterback, you know?
No, you don't. That's one of the leading pressure guys of the 2010s here, let me tell you.
Yeah.
That's all I got. All right. But, yeah, like that first pressure leads to a pick. I mean, you could say a lot of it is like the Seahawks fucking up and giving them the game, but like that was a punch out on the kick return. Mm-hmm. That was a pressure on the interception. Now, some of the other plays, like DK Metcalf last night was big for nothing. I love DK Metcalf, but last night, I that ball that he's got to come back to, some of the like be stronger at the catch point. Like he's such a big, strong guy. But he can be frustrating. Get your feet down in the end zone. Like there's a lot of guys that get your feet down in the end zone.
11 targets, 3 catches.
Yeah, it wasn't a great night for DK. And they have those nights where they just can't get on the same page. But truly, anybody can play running back for the Niners. This Garendo guy finished the night with like a 74-yard run. They're 4.72 yards before contact.
Should have
all
took the
night long.
touchdown, Rook.
Yeah, how bad do you think he feels? Or
Oh,
is he
so
like,
like,
God
come
damn it,
on,
we scored a
Rook.
touchdown anyway.
Come on, Rook. You thought you were doing something. Like, you got to get in there.
Kyle Shanahan literally turned around.
He did
like,
the Steph
threw his
Curry.
hands up.
Yep.
Yep.
And he ends 10 for 99.
Yeah.
He would have been 10 for 103.
Oh.
Crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
Touchdown
that.
ball, 100-yard game, the whole thing, dude. But it is impressive how they cycle people through. But like Jordan Mason, going in there and getting an X-ray, coming back in the second half, and not really being able to go. His tape had like
San Diego State.
yeah, dude.
theme
You know
to
how
it.
like Demario Davis has a fleur-de-lis armband, which
Yep.
what? You don't like the armband? I don't really like the armband. But this Mason guy runs hard, and you think a lot of it's him, and it is. But then this Garendo guy comes in there, and he's getting yardage. So
The system.
second half struggles. They got to figure that out. Niners physically a little bit are falling apart.
Kittle looked banged up all night long too.
And still,
back.
like they went to him in the red zone.
Except that jump to his lady.
Yeah.
Him and Kyle making
Yeah.
that leap.
Oh, yeah. That's harder than you think.
Oh.
We did that in
And to
Green
do
Bay.
it in synchronization.
Synchronicity?
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 I don't know.
Whatever it is. Dude, the under almost hit. I felt like the under was the right side, even with all the crazy shit. The last drive, dude, it was like, let me get this thing right here. The last drive, they just got Fred Warner tired. They got him tired, and he was tired. And once he was tired, the Niners were not as good anymore. And the illegal shift, I was like, the illegal shift was supposed to happen. The whole thing, 4th and goal. I'm texting with him the whole time.
It's 4th and 10, right? From the 10?
I mean, come on, dude. Come on. Am I worried about the win total now? Somebody pull up the Seahawks schedule. Matt, can you pull up the Seahawks schedule up there?
It's right here. They've got
I need 5 more.
Atlanta.
I need 5 more wins.
They're at Atlanta next week.
Call them out, Macon.
Win.
They play the Bills at home,
Loss.
Rams at home,
Win.
bye week 10, then week 11 they're at San Francisco.
Loss.
Then they've got the Cardinals at home,
Win.
at New York Jets,
Loss at that point.
week 14 at Arizona Cardinals,
Loss.
Green Bay Packers at home week 15,
That's your game right there. That's a loss.
Vikings coming to town,
Win.
and then at Bears.
Hold on. Whew.
I think they beat the Bears.
Week 17. Win at Bears week 17.
That's
and then we've
fine.
got week 18 at the LA Rams.
Rams could have 3 wins at that point. That's a win. I think you're all right.
I think we might be okay, but this is a
that's-
sweat for
That's 6.
This is
That's
tight.
6.
That's 6.
yeah, but because I got
that
3
Green
right now.
Bay is shaky, I think.
That Green Bay is really shaky.
the real.
I'm worried about the win total officially.
The other thing that you don't feel is too, they played 3 games in 11 days.
Somebody put that, Tyler Fraz, shout out. You're right. And that was, part of the concern last night was like, not only 3 games in 11 days, but the Lions, as Nate mentioned, the hangover. And sometimes somebody said this to me when I put this graphic out or talked about it. They were like, this is more like a ketamine hangover, not like which I don't know how that is. But like, this is like a couple.
A K-hole.
Yeah, whatever it is. You druggies in the chat. All right, so we're done with Thursday night.
And we're going to our game of the week after
Macon's game of the week.
we hear from Airbnb.
Oh, Airbnb.
Airbnb.
Okay. Airbnb. I want to tell you about Airbnb. What's up, everybody? If you've been listening to the show for a while, you probably heard us talk about one of the many Airbnbs we've stayed in. The one in Buffalo comes up a lot. We had a lot of great times at Airbnbs in places like Phoenix, Buffalo, Green Bay, and Minneapolis. I'll never forget some of the memories we made, like hearing the coyotes howl in the desert, playing pool late in the night with the guys, and interviewing legends like Brian Dawkins right from the comfort of a beautiful Airbnb. We love the convenience, and it is way easier to hang out with your friends when you have a big place to share rather than staying at a hotel with separate rooms.
And every trip we take this season, we're going to find an Airbnb.
That's right. Hosting on Airbnb is such a good opportunity if you live in a big football town. A nice vacation with the whole family sounds expensive, right? Well, when fans come to your town for those big games, your home could be an Airbnb. Hosting is a practical way to earn extra money to make your vacation truly special. If you're listening to this from home, what you might not realize is that your home is worth more than you think. You're kind of sitting on a gold mine, maybe. Sitting there, listening to our show inside of a gold mine. You don't even know it. Find out how much at airbnb.com/host. You could have a pro athlete hanging out in your Airbnb. You could rent your house out to some group of guys, and you got Brian Dawkins by the pool. You don't even know it.
Don't even know it.
You could,
You think the coolest part of your Airbnb is the airport right behind it.
That's
that
right.
one strip.
yeah,
The
that was
airline.
amazing.
But really, it's Brian Dawkins.
It's Brian
hanging out at the pool.
Dawkins. Yeah, Brian Dawkins is hanging
And
out at
us
this
jumping
pool.
off the top into the water.
Some people, they book Airbnbs to people, and then they're doing whole scenes in there.
Yeah.
Movies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Whole movies. But hopefully not in London this week, where plenty of people are probably grabbing an Airbnb for
Little
Jaguars
close.
Bears.
Who goes to the
Probably.
okay.
But Jaguars Bears in London.
Can you get an Airbnb in London? See, now you fucked up.
If you're in Virginia
Bollocks.
and you're wondering about zoning regulations and such, and if your home can become an Airbnb, give me a call.
That's true. That's
And
true.
yeah, you can get.
Or- no.
What'd he say?
He said 434. He gave your area code out.
I'm not hard
All
to
right.
find.
And yeah, London Airbnb.
Okay, Chicago.
right here.
Chicago. Is it Chicago at Jacksonville? Is it at Jacksonville?
I think so.
Yeah.
Who's the technical home team?
Jacksonville always, right?
Is it a Chicago home game?
I think it
it's a Chicago home game because I was on Bears Wire and there were like 8 things you need to know about the game. And they were like, number 1 was like Chicago's 8-0 in their last 8 games at home. I was like, well, that sounds fucking pointless. So, have the Jags taken off yet? This was a big story. It was like because of the hurricane, they were late.
It was yesterday.
Golly, dude, a little close to the sun there.
Chicago went out on Monday.
I like to get out there and get situated.
Yeah.
Especially they're going to be there for 2 weeks. What's the point of getting in and getting out? You know, like the thinking was always go in on Friday, trick fuck your circadian rhythm,
Yep.
and get out. But if you're there for 2 weeks, why not go like early in the week, in my opinion? Skip the hurricane, the whole thing. I would have left early.
Unfortunately, people probably had to worry about families and property and stuff like that. So that's something else you got to take in consideration,
This
guys.
is yeah.
With that type of stuff on their mind.
Yeah,
and,
no question.
and
You come home,
figure-
there's a gator in the living room.
and that's like a real possibility.
Yeah, no
Like,
question.
serious
No question.
possibility for
No
sure.
question.
Bears are favored by 1.5 this one. The total is 44.5. Do you have an early lean?
I can't tell you right now
Careful.
because we got the bet show.
You're right.
coming
You're
up.
right. You're right. You're right.
God, you know, how are we gonna do this?
I could do earmuffs if you like.
Can you do earmuffs right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has headphones in.
Come on.
Take your fucking headphones off, bro. Somebody put a bag over his head. All right. I think the Bears are gonna lose. I think the Bears.
I really can't. I'm playing
I think the
along.
Bears are going to lose. I think it's possible that the Jaguars are undervalued in this spot, honestly, and that the Bears might be overvalued because of what they did last week. All right, take the earmuffs off. The great Rich Eisen on the call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good man.
Hey, Rich, are the Jaguars the worst team in the AFC? Is Doug going to survive his trip to London? Is London a scary place to go coach now? You know, when we went there, they went to the Tower of London to like see where they used to behead people. I guess like a tourist attraction.
Cool.
They need to take these coaches to the Tower of London, bro. Because honestly, they're just firing them over here, and I hope it doesn't happen to Doug. I think this is a huge, like Shad Khan, the fan base in London. Like, you know, I think the Vikings are cutting into the London fan base, the Jags fan base a little bit. You know, like you got to win when you go over here. And I kind of wonder, they're going to be there for 2 weeks. Like, it's not a certainty that Doug's there the whole time if they lose this game.
Hell no.
You know what I mean?
No way they'll
You
That
don't.
would be wild.
yeah, no way you do that. in London. You got to wait till you get
Not
back.
saying
That's
it won't
cap.
happen, but that's wild.
That would be wild.
I don't know, dude. Like I don't know. I don't know. It was really bleak here before last week, and I think they're better than what they've shown. Like they definitely, there's a lot of holes in this team, but
You can't fire me out the country.
can you
Like,
legally do that?
That's what I'm saying. Like, are you going to book my flight back? Like, or I'm not fronting a ticket from London back home. Like, I'm getting on the plane with y'all.
That's interesting.
Like,
That's interesting. So people in the chat, Tristan Smucker says if Doug loses both games, he's fired. I think that's a lot more fair. I don't want Doug to get fired. I don't want Doug to get fired. Period. Number one, he's a friend. Number two, I got the over win total, and like this is a 2-week trip. They're gonna have a chance to get things right out here. Who do they play in?
you don't think he set the bus up to get other people fired other than him?
Well, that's what I thought like would have happened in New York.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying?
There's
the
the
Bears and the
Pats.
Pats. They can come back from this trip. Zoom out a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
They can come back from this trip, but run it up. The Jags not cooked, right, Nate? Up. I want to see the whole damn schedule
You
here.
tell me you had him on the grill.
Then it's
I had them on the grill
Packers.
because you had the Bengals on the grill. I was
Bro.
proving a point.
Look at the next 4 after
I
London.
know, but boy, could you be okay for a second.
Packers, Eagles, Vikings,
If
Lions.
you take care of the Bears and you take care of the Pats, the Drake May led Pats, we'll get to that in a little bit. You could be, what's that, 3 and 4?
before you're 3 and 8. Yeah.
I mean, I got a shot at the win total there. Okay, so anyways, I think the big question is, can Jags get some explosives in this game? Like, they did it last week. Indy, not so good. Brian Thomas Jr. is
Good.
a revelation.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he's a damn good player. He was the fastest ball carrier on the season, I guess, on that slot fade last week. Like,
22 miles per hour.
22.15.
that's fast. Okay, so this guy is a playmaker. I think the question for me is with Brisker down, and this is a group that's like +5 in turnover margin. Like, is this the game where they don't get the turnovers? Like, with the safety play in the state it is right now with Byard and can't even think of who the other guy is back there, but it's gonna be one of those games where explosives are on the menu for Jacksonville, and I think to build a flow where you can take those shots, you got to have the run game. Like Tank Bigsby, this has got to be a Tank Bigsby game. This has got to be a Tank Bigsby offense. I'm ready to hand him the keys.
Oh.
Like because
Give
this is
it
from
the
33rd team with Bigsby versus without Bigsby. With Bigsby, 8.4 yards per play. This is for the offense. Without Bigsby, 4.9 yards per play. With Bigsby, 0.32 EPA per play. Without him, minus 0.12 EPA per play. With Bigsby, 18.06, some other fucking EPA metric. and yards after contact is way higher with Bigsby at 6. Without Bigsby, 3.1. So there's just like, check this stat out. It's on 33rd team on the top.
Those stats, do you think that there's someone feeding those stats to Doug or the offensive coordinator? Like, hey,
I don't think
look
he
at
needs
this.
the stats. I think like when you watch the tape of this group,
Yeah.
and maybe some of it might be confirmation bias, like take anchoring a little bit, like where they decided last year Bigsby fumbles too much. He's a power back. We don't like him as much as ETN. ETN's our Swiss Army knife. Like, that's fun in the pass game, the whole thing. But Bigsby is like the meat and potatoes. You got to have your meat and potatoes when you're a struggling team. Like, you got to be able to run the ball. And this guy's going to get you explosives in the run game and hopefully can open up the pass game because this is a damn good defense they're playing. I don't care if they're down Brisker or not. They're going to have their work cut out for them. And then Caleb has done two things really well the past couple weeks. Shredded the blitz. Okay, as an offense, I think they've done, and this isn't me taking credit away from Caleb and giving it to the offense, but like if we're being real, the offense has failed him the first few weeks of the season, and I thought the offense caught up a little bit last week, and it's the Panthers. So the question is, how bad are the Jags? Because the secondary has not been great, but can they get pressure with 4? If they can get pressure with 4, which has not always been a foregone conclusion with this group, they can rattle this kid. he played really well last week, shredded the blitz the last couple weeks, and also hit the deep balls. The deep balls are coming now. Okay, like I don't know if he's settling in or it was a Panthers thing, but we'll see this week. And it's a big spot for a rookie quarterback going to London. It's a tough spot. Again, Bears +5 in turnover margin, Jags -3. Here's the positive, and I got these injuries here. If you're the Jags, DNP, Jaquan Brisker, he's not playing. Tevin Jenkins, downgraded from Wednesday limited. Zach Pickens, and then limited, Tyreek Stevenson. Tyreek Stevenson popped up like during the week, which is not a good thing with a calf. So the secondary is a little bit iffy. You might be able to score on these guys.
The second hurricane this week to pop up, like Hurricane Milton in Florida.
What is?
Tyreek Stevenson, a Miami Hurricane.
Oh yeah, he's just popping. That's good.
Yeah, thanks.
Meanwhile, that's good.
Meanwhile.
So I don't know. I'll tell you where I lean in the gambling show Saturday morning with Macon. That's going to be.
Well, I'll give you both this nugget. You mentioned rookie quarterback.
Don't do it.
Okay.
6th one.
He's sitting right.
I got it right here. You ready?
No, we know.
They're all 0-5. You want the names though?
What?
Rookie quarterbacks in international series games.
I know.
Zach Wilson, lost. Gardner Minshew, lost. Deshaun Kaiser, lost. Blake Bortles, lost.
Derek Carr, lost.
How many of
So
those
yeah,
quarterbacks?
rookie quarterbacks are not. So
However,
how many of those quarterbacks were nail polished though?
that's a good
He
question.
might be immune to the
Trend
loss.
breaker.
Derek Carr eyeliner, but not nail
Oh,
polish.
that's
True. Yeah.
Favorites in international games, 35, 10, and 1, straight up.
And that's the other thing is like the favorites have won here, but I kind of look at this as like, is there a clear favorite in this game? I know that like that includes like tight line games, but to me this is a funny game, dude. This is a funny game. We'll see. I love these London games. I know you don't like the London games.
Nope.
I love them. What don't you like?
Too early for you?
Yeah. I think it's kickoff time. If I'm an Anglophile. If it were in London, that's great. That's groovy. I just wish it kicked off at say noon.
I think I would hate it if I was
love
on the
it.
West Coast.
If I was
On the West Coast, like that's kind of crazy. Like, what is 6:30 kickoff for them?
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's
Now,
a little nuts.
I kind of wish I lived on the West Coast for the football schedule.
Oh,
Like just in general, I think waking up at 9 in the morning to see the first game is awesome. Like we said, you can be on the beach in the evening
Central.
with like a
Central
fucking
time zone.
fire
Yeah, it was perfect, right? Sun setting, and you got the game.
and like a Faraday hoodie. And like you're just hanging out with all my surfer friends. This is me imagining life in California. None of it includes kids. Like when people imagine their perfect life, it never includes kids. I wouldn't even be out on the beach. I'd be fucking feeding my daughter a pouch
yeah.
with like the phone in one hand and like the TV in the kitchen watching the game. So yeah, it's not that cool. Washington, Baltimore. Let's go to the injuries first. What are the injuries that we should be paying attention to, Nolan?
Yeah, so Washington side, Brian Robinson was a DMP, but he did miss some practice last week and played, so could be in the lineup. And then limited guys to look out for. Allegretti, Noah Brown missed last week, so that's an upgrade for him. He's limited.
Yeah.
And then Cleveland Farrell and Quan Martin are limited midweek. And then on the other side, honestly, nothing crazy from a DMP standpoint for the Ravens. Just Broderick Washington's one to look out for. And then Humphrey's limited, Bateman's limited, and then both your tackles with Stanley and Rosengarten.
Yeah. So I think the interesting thing about this game is for Washington, you can't be afraid to be physical. You can't be like what we said about them coming out of the Cleveland game last week was I was impressed with their physicality. They took the fight to Cleveland. It wasn't just finesse beating, the big bad Browns. Because on one side of the ball, there's still the big bad Browns potentially. The other side of the ball, it's a mushroom cloud. And Stefanski has talked about not in the spirit of calling out people who I think might be lying. I think Stefanski saying I haven't even considered benching Deshaun Watson is patently false. I think it's false. There's no way that thought hasn't run through your head. I wish coaches would just be honest and be like, yeah, it's all we've been talking about this week, but like the owner or we're going to give it one more week because I don't know. I have no idea why you wouldn't do it. And I've been on my soapbox about this. Like the NFL, your earning window is small. And there's guys on this team who are wasting years, just wasting a year of their life. And, Stefanski's up there saying, I hadn't really thought about it. But I think for the Commanders, you have to be willing to run the ball. In a lot of ways, Nolan, the efficiency numbers, running the football for Washington,
pretty wild.
Baltimore.
Yeah. You think, both these offenses, you think Washington, you think pass, Baltimore, you think run, but overall, Washington number 1, Baltimore number 2, and overall EPA per play. And then when you split that between pass and run in EPA, both phases, Washington 1, Baltimore 2, which was pretty surprising.
And they're catching a touchdown. They're catching a whole tud almost.
Because they ain't play anybody, Paul.
They haven't played anybody, and Baltimore has played people. And so this is finally a test that's worthy of Jayden Daniels. Like, let's see how this goes. And I think they can get some matchups. I think they're going to move the ball. The question for me is, can they protect? I've given them props for the way that they've kept him clean in some spots this year. But this group is really good up front. They got KG vets like Van Noy, who, by the way, has found the fountain of youth. He's balled out in Baltimore the last couple of years, and the younger guys have come along. And of course, you got to deal with Matabike and that sort of thing. So if you're the Commanders, how much can you mimic the Ravens and win up front with those two guys inside? And be physical when they try to go gap scheme, because they will. How physical can you be offensively so it doesn't turn into a 40-throw game? I think you can get the matchups. There is stuff on tape with the Ravens defense led by Zach Orr where you can get the matchups underneath. The question for me is how are you going to match Baltimore's big people? Like, and how big, we talk about this like week to week. How big are you going to let Baltimore get before you get big? And I'm talking about personnel groupings and the tight ends on the field for them, which really, like, Kohler's starting to get some burn. Like Andrews is doing the best he can with the opportunities he's been given, and he's blocking his ass off. Likely he's a stud. So what are you going to do in those situations when there's a bunch of tight ends on the field? And I think Washington's got to be okay with committing to run the ball and saying, hey, we are physical too. Sometimes it's the logo on a helmet that kind of trips you out. And this is a logo game. Like, honestly, it's one of those games where if you're in the Washington locker room, if I'm Dan Quinn, I say, like, take the Raven off the helmet. Take the standings out of it. Take where they've been out of it. Prepare for the team. And tell me, are they that much more physical than y'all? And so the answer would probably be, in that locker room, I don't think so.
Spider-Man meme.
No, they got more experience. They're the better team, right, on paper, right? But we're okay here too, and we're physical here too, and I think that's got to be the attitude. And those two interior guys for Washington have to eat.
What do you read into the midweek edition in Baltimore of Dean Pease?
I think it's an admission that you need a little bit of senior situational advice.
Zach Orr was asked, like, what's the vision for Coach Pease? And he was like, don't have one necessarily, just a little bit of experience to lean on.
Well, I think it'd be interesting to go and look at, like, things that Dean Pease does well, and that might answer questions.
He was a big blitzer.
Yep.
So
are they not
keep an eye
blitzing?
out.
Are they not blitzing with precision? Are they going to blitz more? I think a lot of times when you bring in a consultant like that, it like answers a question like, what do you think internally they're talking about they need to do better? Just backtrack and figure out what that guy does well. So if the answer is bringing the heat, then maybe that's what we see more this week and going forward for this group. But I think overall it's just nice. It's nice to have as many experienced coordinators and former head coaches in the building as you can without the egos getting in the way. I'm not saying Pease has an ego. I'm talking about just a lot of those former head coaches.
Shout out Jerry Rosberg, Denver Broncos.
Yeah. But
He
having those guys,
Yeah, he was Hackett's head coach.
yeah,
They brought him in.
Hackett
Yeah,
Needed it.
Worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
So, well, shout out to that whole group because now you got Sean Payton and Bo Nix.
Sean Payton.
You know,
We'll talk about them later,
They
I
could have
think.
delayed that process. You could have missed the boat. On,
I know.
on Bo Nix.
What a different world that would be.
So I can't wait to see this game, man. Like, what else are we missing in this game, chat? What are you looking forward to in this game? I mean, like, it is, as you point out, Omer, it's the Ravens should be able to run it down their throats. Question is, how bad will the Ravens D play? I think it's a game where both teams score. I mean, like, you know, I don't know. We haven't looked at the total yet. I have no idea what it is. It's probably up there.
51.5.
And so it's like, take it if you dare, but it might be the week to take that total. And, you know, here we are just exchanging notes. Fuck.
Washington averaging 31 points per game, highest in the NFL. Lamar, when he faces a coach for the first time,
Yeah.
36-7 straight up. However, Dan Quinn faced him while he was in Atlanta.
Yeah.
When you see Lamar's second time, that record does not look as gaudy.
Well, let's see, man. This is going to be – and when Baltimore made C.J. Stroud look human week 1 last week, it was week 1. This guy at least has had a month plus of starts and experience to where – it was interesting on Inside the NFL talking about, like, the way young quarterbacks read the field now and, you know, talking about the ways that you can funnel Jayden into making decisions in areas of the field where he hasn't gotten comfortable yet. You know, and I'd have to go back and look at all the hit charts. You know, I'm a huge Jayden Daniels fan, but he is a rookie, and you know there are areas of the field where he likes to, you know, focus more outside the numbers for sure. You know, like because he has the arm to do it. You know, how does Baltimore funnel him into making throws over the middle of the field in the teeth of the defense with Kyle Hamilton lurking there, with Kyle Hamilton on Zach Ertz and that sort of thing? And who's going to have the matchup on McLaurin? You know, is that going to be Humphreys? You know, like whoever it is, that's got to be one you.
If you're Cliff, you're probably making sure it's Wiggins. You're probably doing what you can.
If you
to
can
match up on the rookie. Yeah,
if you can get the matchup on Nate Wiggins, your guy,
My guy.
who dropped the fucking ball a couple weeks ago and blew the over.
Still could be the league's MVP. in my opinion.
That's how I feel about Darrell Taylor.
It's early, yeah.
It's early for him too. So what's next, Cowboy?
Browns, Eagles. Eagles favored by 9.5. The total is 43. Eagles coming off a bye. And the Browns, as you mentioned, are pretending that they're not going to bench Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, there's just a lot of
Even though we've
gaslighting
heard
going
from
on.
our expert, Dr. Fax, that it's Jameis time.
I think Jameis need to get out of there. I'm starting to think that Jameis should just get out of there, man. Hearing that would feel so dejected. Like, really? Like, why would you even say that? Like, hearing
Can you lament the Browns while I take a piss real quick? Just lament the Browns for
Yeah,
about
man.
90 seconds.
I don't know. And everyone's talking about it's trade time. They're about to start. They should start shopping everyone around. And it's just disappointing because that's a pretty good team.
This is a reputable source, which I don't quite follow. It says the Browns can't cut, okay, got that, or bench Deshaun Watson because they owe him too much money. Why can't they bench him? They can bench him very easily.
Yes.
We're
they can-
paying
yeah.
you the same amount of money.
Right.
You're now
just don't
sitting down.
play, and you won't harm us.
This True Media started charting quarterback EPA in 2007. There are 596 quarterbacks that have been charted. Deshaun is the 596th rated quarterback in total quarterback EPA since 2007.
Dude, when I said he was cooked, I'm back from the bathroom. When I said he was cooked, I meant it. Week 1. I mean, he was cooked.
We should just call
mean-
the grill our Deshaun Watson cooked.
The Watson Weber.
Yeah.
The Watson Weber back here. This is like, guy's got $250 million. He lives inside this tiny grill. This is his house back here. He show him the house. That's where he lives. He's cooked. And you know what? It's very rare that I can unapologetically tell the truth about a player without feeling bad about it.
He has a chance to do something really crazy, though.
cooked.
You know what he can do?
What's he going to do?
He could bring back the old Deshaun and blow the Eagles the fuck out this weekend and get your coach fired.
Well, that's the whole thing here is like, considering what happened to the Phillies, can you imagine?
Ooh. Oh, what a week! What a week!
If you know what it's like in Philadelphia, and I haven't lived there like my whole life. I lived there 2 years, but like I kind of follow the place.
We would have to go up there and check the temperature if that happened.
What?
Like if say Deshaun puts up 50 on you guys and they got Sirianni out of there, I don't
want to be anywhere near that.
Why? I want to check the temperature. That's media. That's real media. Boots on the ground.
Okay, so
to
I'll
the
send you
Philly
up there
fans
for open locker room. You want me to send you up for open locker room?
I'm down, but I'm talking about the fans. I want to hear from the fans and the people of Philly.
All right, Philly fans, what would happen? Yeah. Put in the chat what you would do if the Eagles lost the Browns this weekend. Put it in the chat. We'll read the best replies. All right. Don't incriminate yourself.
Do you think that's a possibility though that they can lose this weekend?
Dude, it's the NFL. Okay. Here's what I think. I think the Eagles are back healthy. And you're going to get a better look at who this team is now. You've had a month to sort things out. Like, hey, we don't need Devin White on the team. Hey, we're going to play Cooper DeJean at nickel. Like, this is a big deal. Okay, I talked about that on Inside the NFL. Me and Nolan have been talking about this for a couple weeks. Like, got to figure out the nickel position. I think, Cooper DeJean in camp, the word was, hey, we like him, but he's not where maybe we want him to be because he had an injury, right? And now it's time for him and Reed Blankenship back there to I don't even want to say some of the nicknames I read online for this group, for these two. What was the one that was less offensive?
I don't know if you can pick one.
It was bad. I didn't say it. They called these guys Ku Klux Clamps.
That is crazy.
Is that crazy or what?
Yeah. People are nuts.
You know what, though? The fucking game's changed, and we got Riley Moss out there. First guy with a paint job like that to catch an interception is Y2K.
How crazy is
that? It's incredible. It's crazy.
Oh. Secondary. But there's an I in secondary.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's
like
pretty
that.
good.
Secondary.
That's pretty good. There was another one, wasn't there?
Milk.
Wasn't there another one?
I'm sure. Yeah.
All right.
Can't remember.
Okay. All right.
I believe they called Riley Moss a crackerback.
It was a crackerback. Crackerback. All right. All right. So, anyways, enough about the white DBs. All right, but like I think the Eagles healthy out of a bye, getting AJ back, getting Devontae back, getting Lane back, wounded animal game, right? Like, and I'm talking about the Eagles are wounded in one way where they want to explode and beat somebody up, and the other animal's wounded, like for real. Like Cleveland they're a fish out of the water, floundering. It's like you got to take care of them this week, and if you don't, the city is going to implode.
Better hope it's not a catfish. They can live for a long time out of water.
I hope it's not a catfish. From what I've seen so far, and I'm, me, expert angler, I don't think this is a catfish situation. All right, so anything other than a beatdown is going to suck for this team. Like, you have to take care of this team. It can't be 2016, and it can't be 21-17. It can't be like you have to make a statement in this game that you have fixed some of your problems, and that includes the pass rush. Like, Deshaun Watson has been sacked a ton in his life, but this year, where's my phone? I had all these. I think he's been hit and sacked like as much as anybody in the league. I mean, he's taken
26. 26 sacks.
26 sacks. Like, he's 26 times. It has to be a slump breaker game for the front, okay? That for sure. And they can shred him with gap scheme. Denzel Ward, DNP with a hammy. I don't know where he is, Nolan, if you got any injury reports for this game. But, like, this is a chance for them to start out on the right path because the next three opponents, albeit one of them is the Bengals, 5-15 is their record to start the season. Now, records can be deceiving, as you know.
Can they?
They can. They can.
Oh, man.
Here's the one X factor. This might be the X factor. This is we got an X factor alert. I kind of want to play X is going to give it to you every time we have an X factor on this show, so I don't know if we're there yet. But the Browns' assistant offensive line coach, he's the X factor. Not only is this a Jim Schwartz game where Jim Schwartz knows the birds, right? He was there when Hurts was a rookie, and you could say, well, Hurts is not a rookie anymore. Well, Hurts is still the same guy, right? But the window dressing has been better at different moments in his career. Ultimately, the same things bother him, right? And Jim Schwartz was there year one, but the big deal is Roy Estevan. Am I saying that right?
Estevan.
Am I saying that? Estevan. Roy Estevan.
No, Estevan.
Istvan.
Nailed it.
Roy Istvan. This is one of those names for me. Okay, he's the Browns' assistant O-line coach. He spent 5 years under Stout, the Eagles' offensive line coach, who's the best in the game. So he understands the run game as Stout installs it, probably understands a lot about the operation in Philly. And, I kind of wonder how much these coaches being in the building for Cleveland, honestly, Cleveland lost some damn good important coaches last offseason that were, including Callahan. But they do this week have a couple guys that know the Eagles well. So how big of a deal is all that going to be? What did the Eagles fans say as far as what they would do if the Eagles lose to the Browns? And what does Nolan say about the injuries?
Yeah, so injuries, you mentioned Ward, the other DMPs, Pochich, the center, Grant Delpit, safety. And then it's just a lengthy list of guys who are limited participants. So they're really banged up. Myles Garrett, Njoku, Jedrick Wills, Jordan Hicks. Nick Chubb continues to make his way back. We don't know yet if he'll be in the lineup this week. And then Jack Conklin and Mo Hurst. So they're not quite as decimated as the Rams, but similar in that sense of kind of being the walking wounded.
Yep.
And Alexander Wologa in the chat said, if the Eagles lose, I'd burn my house down, move to FedEx Field, change my name, and join Chris Cooley as the lost souls of days past. And please don't try to save me.
Oh, I won't.
A lot of cracking of the Liberty Bell.
You're going to break the Liberty Bell?
Again.
You're going to break the Liberty Bell again? What does that do?
I think it shatters it.
What does that do? What does that accomplish? God, I was going to say something, and it was impactful.
Damn.
I mean, seriously. It was fucking – what were we just talking about?
Browns,
Injuries.
Eagles.
Browns.
The Browns injuries. Yeah.
X Factor?
Here's what I was going to say. Yeah, I gave the X Factor. It's this.
It's Emilio Estevez.
Emilio Esteban.
Yeah.
Roy Esteban. Hey, here's a guy that if I were him, I might do things a little differently. If I were Nick Chubb. Let me ask you guys this question. If you were Nick Chubb, are you coming back to play for this team?
Yeah, man.
Really?
Warrior.
I know. That's how I would be as a player. But I'm telling you as somebody who's 30,000 foot view, my question is the short earning window of a running back, the short productivity window of a running back, the thing I'm talking about with every player, it's even – this guy is one of the best backs of our generation if he's healthy and in the right situation. If I'm Nick Chubb, am I walking back into this burning building and saying, yeah, I'll put this fucking shitty team on my back again and probably lose a couple years of my life in the process, and my career, certainly? I mean,
reputational damage.
But he's got a great reputation. And I think everybody's on the side of this is a racket what they're doing in Cleveland. It's not a racket because a racket would actually be profitable. What it is it's a mushroom cloud, and it's something that you guys did, and it's not just picking the wrong guy. It's picking a guy with all those cases over his head and saying, hey, fuck how you guys feel about it. We are burning the ships morally and from a football standpoint to win, and I'm not going down with the ship. There is part of me that if I'm Nick Chubb, and he's probably not thinking this because he's probably like I was or Nate was when we play, which is we just
He doesn't wear gloves, wrist tape, or armbands.
Probably
that guy's going
back.
out there no matter what.
He's probably coming back. But I don't know. Yeah, in the chat, I don't think I'm tripping.
How about Amari Cooper? Does he go somewhere if they lose this week?
Somebody asked who is more overrated, Sam Bradford or Carson Wentz? Is Sam Bradford overrated? Do you guys know what this word means? Do you guys have a Webster's dictionary? Look up overrated. Like, it's impossible to be overrated if you're Sam because everybody shit on you for your entire career because you couldn't stay healthy. Actually, I think Sam was underrated because he never really got to play out his career in a situation, in my opinion, from a health standpoint where you would have known what he was capable of. Carson's been lit on fire. Like, at one point, Carson might have been overrated. At one point, right? I disagree on those. Like, that's just not. Chubb to me is like Henry in that he needs a downhill head start. I don't know. Nick Chubb should get out of Cleveland as soon as he can. I agree. So, anyways, Eagles have to win this game. They have to win this game, and they can't let Myles Garrett leave the building. Howie Roseman needs to corner him in the concourse and be like, let's get this done.
He needs to meet him coming off the field. Hey, different locker room.
Lane Johnson and Myles Garrett's gonna be a great matchup if you see it. And he just needs to like vice grip that guy and be like, you ain't going anywhere, dude. We're now brothers. We're now teammates because you're gonna save our team. We're gonna send like everything we have to Cleveland for a pass rusher.
They dap each other at the end, and Lane just carries them.
And Lane just
him and Jordan just pick them up.
Yeah. Just carry him in the locker room, dude.
Yeah.
You're here. What's next?
Cardinals, Packers. Packers -5. This is in Green Bay. Kyler goes to Green Bay. I'm not going to ask you the lean because I know we're talking about that later, points wise.
Points.
You think high scoring?
Points. I
don't know.
I know that's what I would think at first, but because of the Cardinals' defense. But Kyler in Green Bay just doesn't seem, to me at least, like a high-scoring combo.
Well, I just think there's a couple things looming here, like from a distraction standpoint. Like, I think the Packers play the Texans next week. Is that right? Did we come up with that?
Is Romeo back?
That's a big one. And Romeo was at practice this week. But then there's a video of him on the floor, kind of like. And I don't like reading in too much to videos, but when there's the context of like, hey, we've skipped work for a couple days in the last 10 days, and he's upset, he what have you, and we talked about this on the show, like Romeo Dobbs,
he
very
shouldn't start.
talented.
He shouldn't start.
No,
he got to earn his way back in there.
The Packers do have the Texans next week,
unless there's something I don't know about.
Yeah,
and this is a guy I love Romeo Dobbs, but come on, man, get it together. The NFL is about. You have to be able to compartmentalize your feelings. Like there were so many moments in my career where I just wanted to run out of the building pissed off, or like that I wanted to just say fuck it and not come in the next day, or like, and I had a point sometimes, and sometimes it was fair. Like it was like there were times in Philly where I was angry, whether it was like at a coach, or there were times in St. Louis, there were times in New England that I was like, man, this is bullshit. I was with Matt Patricia the other day. I was like, do you know I'm not a right end? I was like, did you know that? Like me and Matty P are cool as shit. Like we had this long conversation. It's like, it was the best thing for the team. I would, there were times where I'd walk around and be fucking pissed off. But like, you got to realize like, it ain't bigger than you. Mm-hmm. It's not bigger than you. And when you're on a good team, it's especially not bigger than you.
Definitely not.
And this team's got a chance to compete. So Romeo Dobbs has to make a decision where, is he gonna let something that's happened over the last month of the season ruin the next month of the season for him? Because if he does that, then nobody wins. He doesn't win, the Packers don't win, nobody wins. I hope that he can figure this thing out, whatever it is going on. They got a big game looming next week, and they need him. Jordan Love, for a guy that went last year, I think like over a 9-game span, he threw like 20 touchdowns and 1 interception.
Yeah. It was like over the final 9 games.
Okay, and now this year he's thrown like 5. Now I know the injury plays into that. I know Minnesota game plays into that. They get everybody. You got Rodgers last week, right? Mm-hmm. They got the guy that came before him last week. But some of it, to me, has gotta come down to him just making the right decisions. And this is a week where he can't play with his food, because I think this is a game where you're going to have an advantage in creating turnovers. Don't give it back to them. Like, this is what the Packers do. They create turnovers. Like, McKinney's back there playing center field. He's got to pick every game. I know, sorry.
Yeah.
Guy's a hell of a player.
Really good player.
Really good player.
Good draft pick.
Here's the thing about the Packers that I wanted to bring up. And, I read this week in the little stat breakdown that they're 25th in average time to pressure. And that, to me, is a shock. Now, to explain that, this means that it takes them a long time to get there up front. And they blitz, but they're not like they're a four-man rush team. They're going to rush four a lot. And especially with Halfley coming in and the excitement around making this an attacking front and the whole thing. I really watched them. I watched every pass rush snap of the season for this group because I was like, what's wrong with the group? Okay, they were writing articles about this thing, think pieces. I think they're a pretty straight-line group. Like, I think in general, they're a pretty straight-line group. And, Packers fans in the chat, you might be really leaning in here because you're wondering what the fuck is wrong with the pass rush. I think it's if the question is there something wrong that you can't fix, it's like a yes and a no. Like, they have played thus far the Eagles, the Colts, and the Vikings. Those game scripts were not scripts. Well, the Colts game was, but they have a good offensive line. The Eagles offensive line, really good offensive line, and the Vikings offensive line, not only good offensive line, but you find yourself down three touchdowns. So they were able to go play action. They were able to max up. They were able to pick their spots. The two games that the Vikings or the Packers really had opportunities to rush, they did. And the Rams game, they got home a fair bit. The Titans game, they kicked their ass in spots in that game. That's when you look at this Green Bay group and you're like, yes, this is who they can be. And you know who made a lot of plays in that game was Enik Barre. And I watch him and I'm like, this guy's exciting. He's got some really nice counters. He's twitchy. He likes the long arm. I think Preston Smith is still winning a lot of rushes. Okay. The big story is Gary, right? And the guys inside, because when the guys inside are going, they're really good. I think that's the strength of their group. Kenny Clark, Devontae Wyatt, who's down right now, they miss him. I like Slayton. He gives them a lot of like scrappy early down rushes. But the truth is, when Wyatt and Clark are on the field, and Carl Brooks is giving you some good snaps, but when Wyatt and Clark are on the field, that really helps the edge guys. It helps the whole group. Wyatt is a hell of a player, dude. I had a whole highlight reel of their rushes that I was going to throw up. But we'll try that next week. But, like the question is, as you look around at this group and the production, what happened to Rashawn Gary? Because, as you know, I'm a big fan of this cat. I think the sky's the limit with him, and he's shown what he's capable of in different stretches. But the last 12 games, I think he has one sack. That was a hell of a realization for me. Not that sacks are everything. So I go watch the tape. 6 pressures the first 5 games. It's not good right now. 72nd among edge rushers. He was ascending, and I think he still can ascend. But honestly, my assessment of him is he doesn't have a quick counter, Nate. You know what I'm saying? Like some guys, if you jump them, they can come inside right now. Right? Like they can 1-2 up and under. Mm-hmm. His best up and under is late in the down. It's like a hump move. He got Havenstein with it a couple times where like at 9 yards he's gonna flip his hips and come back inside. He's got to win earlier in the down, and he's also got to go to the long arm. You guys are probably like this pass rush nerd stuff, but if you're wondering, Green Bay fans, Gary goes here a lot. You're so fucking strong and you're so long. Do this. I made a living off this. I stood next to Rashawn Gary at Packers camp. I was like a child. If I can do this, imagine what you can do with this. And I was a power rusher. Go to the long arm, man. Like this is. I also think he's had some bad luck. There was a play in the Tennessee game where Levis is falling down and just throws the ball, and he's right there to get the sack. But Levis, so a lot of times you need one to just break the slump. But I also think when you look at the whole group, they rotate a good bit. So sometimes he's out for a couple series, and I don't think he's in a great rhythm. They also, I would never run him sideways. If you're a Packers fan and you see a pressure where Rashawn Gary has to cross the formation and loop into the A-gap, you're misusing one of your best rushers. He's the more downhill he's going, the better. Now, I like it when they go 5-man pressure because they have a guy like Cooper who's come on to be that kind of like wrangle a quarterback. And Cooper might be the spy this week. You know, I don't know if he's fast enough, but I like him in the backfield funneling people. Another thing is this is a big group. Kyler Murray is going to bail out of the back of the pocket the minute that thing starts closing in on him. So you got to be really good as far as staying upfield, but not widening that B gap too much. Because last week he was the fastest quarterback ball carrier in 8 years.
I believe it.
I mean, like
those little feet when they start moving.
So these guys are in a slump. They want to bust out, but I'm painting a picture of like this is the week to get sacks, but it's also the week to be disciplined. And that's what's so tough about it. Because they're writing articles about Rashawn Gary and the lack of production. That means it's like it's a narrative now. So he's going to be pressing. These guys have to just focus on caging this cat in and forcing turnovers. And the sacks will come. We just say they come in bunches. You know, and it's true. You'd be sitting there in a slump. One happens as a group or as an individual, and then it just starts rolling. It is one of the most mental positions in pro sports when you're not getting home. And it's not always your fault. It can be the fractions of time. It can be that they play soft coverage in some situations. I want to say this, though. There are enough good rushers to be a good rush team. It's just they got to have Wyatt back, and the guys inside got to be humming. You know,
hey, if Zaven Collins gets home this week, what's that called? It's called a love sack. Is what it's called. All right, you ready? Hey, take your time. Use 3 words to describe the Arizona Cardinals because it's play the Bills close, punk the Rams, play the Lions close, get punked by the Commanders, and then they get San Francisco last week.
Scrappy, because their defense is scrappy. You know, like they've hung in there, but they're not that talented.
Scrappy but untalented.
Scrappy, electric.
Okay.
Because on the offensive side of the ball, they can be electric. And small.
All right, I like it.
No, but what they do is when they get down, and I've noticed this with Kyler, like he'll try to get it all back. So the game script can't be. You can't go on the road and go down 2 scores to this team, because then the rushers get going. They've been waiting for 5 weeks to get their numbers up, and Kyler starts throwing lobs and like just trying to get it all back. And when they're good, James Conner, I gave him Football Guy of the Week this week and Inside the NFL.
And you won.
And I won. Bill picked me. He picked James Conner because he's a glass eater. Because the guy is bouncing off of tackles left and right. He gives this offense a real identity, like from a standpoint of, hey, when we want to run the ball, we're capable of doing it. Otherwise, it's kind of like a finesse offense.
High of 80 degrees today in Green Bay. On Sunday, it'll be high of 54 with wind and rain.
Ooh, good little nugget.
Weather
good little nugget.
There you go.
Weather nugget.
Somewhere where
who does that favor?
Green
I kind of
Bay.
figure it favors Green Bay because Josh Jacobs is a hard running dude. And I think this is the kind of game for them where, like, yeah, you got your explosives, you got your Jaron Reed. I think people are starting to finally come around to the fact that he is like the Swiss Army knife.
Wait, is Connor hurt though?
James Conner.
Yeah.
Is he hurt?
No, he's not hurt.
Did I miss this? No.
No, he runs hard too though.
I said that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. But the defense for Arizona is a little less talented than the defense for Green Bay.
I feel that.
You know, and they're going to be at home, and I wet ball. I don't know how big were Kyler's hands. Not that I don't want to go back here. I don't want to go back here. I wonder how he's played in the rain. You know,
Tyler, 9.5.
not that I have a
That's hate.
9.5 inch hand.
9.5.
That's hate. Asking a dude's hand size.
Is it hate? Yeah. You would hate the combine.
Oh man.
This is what's mine.
What's mine?
What is my hand?
Tom Brady was 9.38 inches. Kyler's 9.5. That's like you got a 10-inch hand there.
Wait. How much was Tom Brady's?
9.3.
I got a big
9
palm.
and 3/8 inches.
Imagine
excuse
my
me.
fingers were as
Smaller
big as my damn
than
palm.
Kyler.
Oh, Tom Brady's
Catcher's
hands.
mitt.
Tom Brady's hands were smaller than
found
Kyler's
And Nate, you didn't get your
Ken.
you didn't get your
So
hand
Kyler's
size.
is how
because I didn't go to
Kyler's
the
is
combine.
No,
just
at your
this
pro
much
day.
smaller.
Yep.
So he's got a bigger hand for his body size.
For sure.
That's not the case. You know what I mean? But
Who
good
knows?
for him. He's got a fucking big hand for his little body.
You know what they say about big hands? Big gloves.
Exactly. You've been on a real
Yo,
trip,
relax.
bro. You relax, bro. Because Steelers defense gave you a chubby. All right.
A place where the rain won't matter as much because it's indoors in the NFC South.
we play in the dome.
Bucks at Saints. Saints plus 3.5. A little NFC South matchup. And
right.
Spencer Rattler.
I'm excited about Spencer Rattler
pretty
thing.
stoked.
Nolan. You looked at his preseason tape. What'd you think?
Yeah, I think the stuff with him. I mean, number one, he's playing with the backups, so like, you kind of have to everything you're watching there. You keep that in mind with it. But I thought the quick game stuff looked really good with him, and then especially as the preseason wore on, they kind of cut him loose a little bit, taking some shots downfield and at the intermediate level too. And so seeing that and seeing what we saw in the early going here with what Clint Kubiak wants to do offensively, I think he can fit well as far as the skill set goes. But as we've also seen through the first month, rookie QBs, you never know.
You never know. But I like this kid, and I think it'd be a fun storyline if he plays well. A week ago, I was on the phone with somebody talking about the Devontae Adams thing, and I said Washington, and they were like, nah, like Jets or New Orleans. And I said, Derek Carr is going to miss time at some point this year. Like, he did like 3 times last year. Was it like a couple times he missed games? And I don't want to say 3. There was, there's the issue with Rodgers and the Jets. Obviously, they just fired their coach. So I don't know. Like, is this the kind of game? Is this the kind of couple week period where you're like thinking about, do we have an opportunity to land Devontae Adams? And now we're running out Spencer Rattler, and the shots are there for this team a lot. Like they took a lot of shots last week. Some of them were there, and they just couldn't quite get them because they can't protect. Like, I don't know if quick game would be a good look for this group. I'm kind of interested to see Kubiak, how much he can alter the game plan, because I thought he was onto something, and then it kind of dried up for him a little bit, even though the run game, is something they can always hang their hat on. I think the quick game for Spencer Rattler is got to be the thing that they lean on early, as bad as they want to take shots. And one of the most, the tantalizing thing about looking at this Bucs defense is last week they gave up 500 yards. This Winfield absence is huge. He's got to be one of the most valuable players to his defense in the league, because it's shown the middle of the field was wide open for them last week. Is Rattler going to go there? Will there be shots to hit? Will he look at Olave? Like, that was a big deal last week, and I don't think it was something intentional. But when we look back at the tape, I just didn't feel like he was looking at him. And then late in the game, when they had opportunities to get him the ball in big situations, they either had McDuffie on him or they paid extra attention to him. And early, you could see people in their zones were Spags. I can hear it. We're not going to let, I don't know how he with that Boston accent would say Olave. We're not going to let Olave wreck the game. And, that's what they did. They said, he's not going to beat us. That 4th and 8 was almost the play of the year. I mean, I don't want to say all that because Lamar did what he did, but that was an incredible throw and nearly catch, but you're not going to one of your best players. And the question for me is, can Rattler live off the quick game? And for the Bucs, are you going to be able to run the ball on this team? Or what's the offense going to look like? Is Bucky Irving healthy this week?
Hang on to the
He's
ball,
carrying
Bucky.
the entire team. I know, but it doesn't matter to me. I'm giving him the ball. It's kind of akin to the Tank Dell thing, or Tank
Bigsby.
Bigsby. Too many tanks.
And
Too
especially
many tanks.
especially
Artavius
Rod
is
White didn't play.
Bigsby's
Yeah, so it's got to be. You got to be able to give Bigsby the ball. You got to be able to the tanks, man.
Call Bigsby Cartavius.
Cartavius.
He was born
Okay.
Cartavius Bigsby.
You got to be able to give Bucky the ball. I got to think about Bucky our
ball.
spot Bucky's
Bucky.
in Tennessee that we stopped at. I don't know, man. Like,
Bucky's healthy. Rashad White is a DMP
Yep.
on the injury report.
and when the Bucks have the ball, the whole show is Mike Evans and Lattimore. They have like a Highlander beef. You know the movie Highlander, which is about basically like these Scottish guys that never they just keep coming back and dying and being reborn, and they hate each other. There's just constant beef. This is a Highlander beef, bro. These guys have literally banged heads for the better part of a decade, and they hate each other. Macon, you got a timeline?
Yeah, it's 2017. 2017 is when it starts. That's when Marshawn comes into the league. Here's the first evidence of Jameis starts this by poking Marshawn Lattimore in the head. The deal is Mike Evans is really good, so if he catches a receiving touchdown this week, he'll become the fifth player in NFL history with 100 receiving touchdowns in the first 11 seasons, joining Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, Marvin Harrison, and Terrell Owens. However, against Marshawn Lattimore, Mike Evans averages only 2.6 receptions and 45.4 receiving yards a game. 2 total touchdowns and a bunch of meetings. And so in 2017, Jameis is standing on the sideline, acting like he's pointing at the field, but then he points right into the back of the helmet of Marshawn Lattimore, who turns and shoves Jameis. And the best part about Mike Evans is that in these fights with Marshawn Lattimore, he waits until Marshawn is not looking, and then he just launches himself like he's some sort of projectile into Marshawn Lattimore's person, and then there are fights, fines, ejections, and suspensions. It's great.
It is great. And, we talked about this on Inside the NFL and Bill after we all got excited about the hate fest that's going to happen this week. He's like, well, fuck. The objective is to win the game. Let's not. But to be Mike Evans, to put myself in Mike Evans' situation and say, like, what would it take for me to take a – it's not like punching a guy, or I've done that, where you just punch a guy, and the minute you throw the punch, you're like, I'm ejected. Like, it kind of like – you almost make the decision in your enraged head as it happens. Like, it happened to me in Carolina. I'm like, punch him. And I just punched him. And then I'm ejected. And I'm like, I'm not fucking surprised. But like, what was that about, Chris? Now I'm watching the end of the game with Les Snead in the locker room, wondering if my hand's broken. Okay. Now, Mike Evans had a running start where he's like, he has time to think about getting ejected.
On a few occasions. But the one where Jameis pokes and Mike Evans sprints across the field, like he's thinking about getting ejected as he's launching into. And the funniest thing about that is Jameis Winston with the gotcha bitch. Yeah.
We played in the last game in St. Louis. It was the Bucks visiting the Rams. It was Thursday night football. We knew we were moving. It was yellow and red. It was color rush. It was ketchup and mustard. It was
gross.
It was like
Yep.
everything, dude. And I'm on my last leg. I'm playing on that like broken leg thing. So I'm just like kind of out of it. And I get in there and I'm like, the guy Chairless, who I used to battle with, who beat on
Oscar.
a lady recently.
Yeah.
It was a sleeping pill.
Yeah. He didn't mean to.
Well, he really didn't mean to.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's not excusing it.
Ambien is a hell of a drug.
Come on, you can't tell me this guy serious was like, it's a good idea to get up and pee. He's a solid guy as far as I knew, but not on sleeping pills. But I'm battling with him. He's blocking my gimpy ass, and I'm just embarrassed. And I'm running down the field towards like the line of scrimmage after an explosive. Tampa shredded us. And all of a sudden, I fucking fall down. And I'm like, did somebody just trip me? Like, what the I'm on my face. They're like going tempo. And I go to get up, and Jameis is looking down at me like, like he stuck his fucking foot out and tripped me, and then acted like it was like an offensive lineman, but had the wherewithal to give me the like, just so you know, it was me. and I'm like, this is the slickest motherfucker, dude.
Gotta love Jameis.
So he's stirring shit on the sideline. I cannot wait to see these two battle. As you mentioned, Lattimore has gotten the better of him.
Yeah. And after 2017, Jameis, of course, became a New Orleans Saint, and he was asked about the rivalry, and he said, do I think it's personal? Yeah, I think it's personal. I hate that I interfered with initiating the rivalry when I was with Tampa. I apologize to Marshawn every single day.
That's so good.
Can you just imagine Jameis going into the building every day?
Uh-huh.
Hey, man, 5 years ago, I
Marshawn.
really want to apologize
No,
to
but-
you. Like, I
what's
didn't
a
mean
good
to poke
time
you in the
today?
helmet.
Are you getting
Every
treatment
single
right
day.
now?
Yeah.
Oh, you getting your ankle ice? Well, just give me a second. Like he walking into the meeting, like
Marshawn, I know it's July, man. I just wanted to apologize again for that incident.
all the voicemails, all the voice notes,
Hey, man, my bad.
every single day,
That was on me.
every single day. The guy's a beauty, man. I cannot wait to watch this game. Well, no, I'm lying. No, because it's a 1 p.m. So we're gonna be watching friggin' Washington, Baltimore, and Cleveland,
Beltway.
Philly.
The Beltway.
You know,
Yeah, our spot's going to be taken, and we can't give it to rookie quarterbacks like Spencer Rattler or Drake Maye. Drake Maye showing up for the Patriots against the Texans. This is in New England. The Patriots getting 7 points, a nice little 7 spot for Drake Maye's first start. And we know that this isn't a good idea.
we know it's a bad idea.
We know it's a bad idea.
And I don't care if he shreds them Sunday. That doesn't
Still
make
a
it
bad
good
idea.
This team's not winning the Super Bowl this year. It's good to have a rookie get experience. But again, I liken this to like, oh, you want to play? You want to smoke a cigarette? Have the whole pack. We're going to play the Texans, who pressure on 42% of dropbacks. We're gonna run you out there. I remember my first snap in the NFL felt like I was dropped onto a highway, like, and there were semis going 85 miles an hour by me, and I didn't know where the ball was because it moves so fast. And now I'm thinking Drake Maye is like, bro, like it's like Tokyo Drift out here. There's some fast cars on that field, and he's got to figure out where they're coming from. And D'Amico's gonna blitz. Like D'Amico has like said when they played Caleb Williams. Like, I think he's a little bit of a sicko. Like, he wants to really rattle these rookies. And I kind of wonder what they're going to bring to the table. Now, for them to start Drake Maye, there has to be some evidence that he is the next thing. So I would not be shocked if he goes out there and looks pretty good. But they are under attack in that backfield. And as I mentioned, Kevin Costner's gone now. It's just Whitney Houston back there, and that's Drake Maye. Drake Maye's Whitney Houston. Kevin Costner is Jacoby Brissett. That was the one line of defense.
He doesn't have the Army guy in the meme anymore.
No, he
All
doesn't have
those
that. Now
grenades and knives are
they're
coming
hitting
right at
him. They're
He's
hitting him.
just sleeping.
So, again, I thought earlier this week it might have been RKK being like, hey, I want to show you my rookie quarterback too. Everybody's got a rookie quarterback. You got to think about older owner. Like, I want to see this guy. Like, I want to see him play. Like, I want to every year. You know, how old is Robert Kraft? Like, do I want to wait 3 years to see fucking Drake Maye? He could be the next thing. I want to enjoy seeing this kid play. He's 83 years old. I'm 39. I don't take a single day for granted. Okay? So there might be the owner being like, hey, play this guy. But I do think it's Mayo. I do think, you know, if you're a rookie coach, and I don't know what kind of assurances he's been given, and you see a kid looking great on the practice field, you're ultimately trying to win games. And if Drake Maye is going to be there 10 years and you're not there for more than 2 or 3, like, what does it matter to you? There is some of that in the NFL where it's almost like there should be a governing body that decides with each franchise that's immune to like coaching changes. That's like, collectively, we have made a decision that it is time to pass the baton to this kid, because a coach, his head is clouded with his own situation. And for Mayo, rookie coach, I don't blame him for wanting to trot this guy out. But as an analyst, and as like somebody watching these games, I think he's going to get killed. I think he might play well, but I think he's going to get killed.
They should have to go up and do like a PowerPoint presentation and say, this is why we want to start this quarterback. And then that board can make their decision.
Yeah, the board can make the decision. You got to go up there, and Mayo's got to be like, hey, Teddy Bruschi, Tom Brady, whoever else. I don't know.
And they get tri-folded paper. They can have cutouts of the player.
Yeah.
How long till we see Brissett again, you think?
Not again, is my guess.
I mean, I'm saying if we seen Brissett take the hits that he's been taking this year and slowly getting up, do we think...
You talking about Maye? If we see Maye taking those Brissett hits?
Yes. That's what I'm saying. Like,
I don't know what you do, because once you make this decision, and this is my problem, is like when you make the decision to sit the kid, which is the way to go, you're saying we want to develop the kid, and we want to protect the kid. What has changed? The situation's only gotten less prime for development and more dangerous.
That's what I'm saying. So like now, if you make this decision, like how bad does it have to get where you're like, like maybe we.
No, I think when you decide to start him, you can't go back.
You got to. That's
can't
the
sit him
problem.
back down. Then it's like a Zach Wilson trajectory. You can't have it. You just got to ride with him.
Fucking, I don't know.
Is there an argument to be made for having them take the first swings with the batting donut on, and then it gets easier?
That's an interesting thought process.
The Texans are back there in under 2.5 seconds, so it's only going to look.
It's
going to slow down.
When you do the batting donut, it makes you stronger. When you get trampled underfoot, like by Neil Hunter and fucking all these guys, you really, it only calluses you. Like, I think as a rookie quarterback, like there is some like, hey, on the job learning, that's good, but also you can get shell shocked.
Okay, what about this argument?
Yeah.
They're wearing the reds.
Mm-hmm.
More jersey sales. People are going to go buy that Drake May red.
I kind of like that.
And they're going to see him in the Navy. They're going to go get the Navy.
I kind of like that.
They're going to go pop for the whites.
I'm excited they're wearing the reds, man. I need to put my Houston. I want to hold my Houston. Not they're wearing these this week, but again, this is the Houston Texans.
Chris got one.
Boy.
He caught up with Matt now.
Why number 24?
Because it's the year 2000.
I know, motherfucker. Hey, this is pretty sick. H-Tan.
Why 24?
H-Tan.
Who's number 24? Stingray.
Why 24? All right. So, anyways, like it's a Caserio, the return of Caserio. I think also one thing to look at where, hey, the Pats might think, hey, we can make this a game. Keon White could wreck the game. Is he on the injury report? I just want to make sure before I say he could wreck the game. He doesn't have a toe or a hangnail.
No, sir.
Okay.
Good to go.
Cleared for takeoff.
Yep.
I talked last week about Ed Oliver, the way he could make a big difference in that game. He didn't play. I jinxed him on Inside the NFL. Green gave a bunch of pressures 2 weeks ago. I thought Ed Oliver might wreck the game. DNP. O. Red letters. Okay. No letters next to Keon White. So I look at Houston and I say, hey, early downs have been a problem for them. And Joe Mixon is still not back. And you might get Dameon Pierce back.
No Nico.
CJ Stroud was quoted as saying, I was happy for DP. If your name is Dameon Pierce, you got to think of a different. Can't be going around getting called. Go ahead.
I was just saying Mixon's been limited in practice, so he could be back.
He could be back. But if he's not back.
Nico Collins will not be back.
And that's the big thing, dude. Like the vertical threat in this offense, like you got to be able to run the ball. I think Gonzalez is a damn good corner. I look forward to seeing the Diggs matchup with him, if that's what it is. But the question for me is how big a deal is Nico Collins? Because last year, and this was a way different circumstance. Like they didn't have Diggs on the team. They were down a ton of guys when they went to New York in the rain. And Stroud looked very human. There were games last year where Stroud looked human. Carolina, the Jets game. The injuries definitely made him look human in that Jets game. How big of a deal is the Collins, departure? And can Collins make a case for being not only one of the best but most important receivers in the game? I know it's a case he probably doesn't want to have to, make sitting there watching the game. But it will be interesting to see how they operate without him.
Maybe this is a Diggs comeback game a little bit. He's not as much of a possession receiver. He gets little more yards per catch. And
Yeah.
you mentioned the Texans' woes on early downs. They only rank ahead of the Browns offense.
I was just about to say, is this
Yeah.
a typo?
It's wild. 31st in the league.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
4 wins for the Texans by an average of 3.75 points.
Now, you know what? If I'm going to spin this, in a positive way, like Texans know how to win close games. But I do think they're really, really good. That's the confounding thing about them. They've a lot of these ball games, second half of games has been tough the last couple of weeks for sure. So I want to see what they do when they come into the half. If this is a close game, you got to find a way to run away with it. You don't want to leave New England being like, damn, that guy just played with us.
Colts, Titans. This is in Tennessee. Titans are favored by 2.5. Do we see Joe Flacco? I know they said Anthony Richardson is going to start. He's healthy enough to start. But is Joe Flacco going to come in and save the game again for the Colts?
This is a damn good defense in Tennessee. And they're not getting enough attention because Will Levis takes up a lot of the talking points every time a team breaks it. But, they've got guys like Tavondre Sweat, who's been a stud for them. I've seen some baldy breakdowns on him. I've been watching him a little bit, like displacing people. He seems like very pro-ready. I was surprised by how pro-ready he was. And the same thing, Landry, Key, good edge players. Ernest Jones been making some plays like that. This is a good group. Obviously, you have Jeffrey Simmons, who's an all-world guy.
And back.
But like this is a group that should be taken seriously, and Denard Wilson's done a good job. Okay, but the offense has kind of fucked him a little bit, and for a team like the Colts, they started 0-2 in division already. This is a back against the wall game for them. Like I think it's maybe the most undercover back against the wall game of the week. It's a division game, can't start 0-3, and you've got Joe Flacco playing good football. Surprise, surprise.
Leading the NFL in passer rating, Joe Flacco.
How about you want to talk about overrated and underrated? Was Joe Flacco underrated his whole career?
Yes.
Not in Denver.
Not in Denver. Well, that just goes to show you how bad Denver was. He couldn't get quality play out of Joe Flacco. He's played well for 7 franchises. You know what I mean? A lot of teams are saying, man, we could have had Joe Flacco. The Colts. That to me, back to the Colts, or the Browns. The Browns letting that man walk out of the door.
Especially how it's going right now. Nuts.
Well, because, as Stefanski, I haven't thought about benching him because the guy's fragile. He's become fragile. He's got
how many burner accounts does he have?
Say it one more time.
How many burner accounts? What has he got? 4?
Yeah.
Because you don't get rid of Joe Flacco unless because that's a total brainless thing to do. That's how many times Deshaun could get hurt. You don't want him. Like that didn't work. He led you to the playoffs. That tells me it's an admission that maybe there was somebody that didn't want him in the building. Who wouldn't want him in the building? And I'm not saying they had a bad relationship, but they must have thought like this isn't good for Deshaun's confidence to have somebody hovering over his shoulder all year. But now look at you.
That's the stupidest thing.
Look at you.
That's the stupidest thing, like, to ever think. I think for a football franchise is that your backup is putting pressure on your starter. That means your starter should just play better.
But hold on. So then what would you do this week if Anthony Richardson's healthy?
I would play Joe Flacco. I'd play Joe Flacco until he doesn't play well. I think Anthony Richardson could use the time.
Yeah.
This is not me bro, like I've been consistently a fan of this kid. People just can't handle nuance. The nuance in this thing is you can be a fan of somebody so much that you want them to sit. Yeah. I want him to sit and be able to learn to throw a speed out. I want him to sit and be able to learn how to go quick game with accuracy. I want him to sit and get his mechanics right. Last year was the medical red shirt. This year should be the red shirt. And hey, if he comes back and dominates, awesome. Maybe a month is all you need.
Play them both.
I don't like playing both.
I do, because Joe Flacco, yeah, he had that little run for his 18 yards, but I think just having a threat, of mixing it in. I mean, you see the Saints do it with Taysom Hill. I just don't see why other organizations don't take a shot, with it in. When you have a rookie that you feel like you're gonna run anyway and you're gonna use them.
Oh, obviously. He has a fucking hip injury and
That-
Steichen puts him back in and is like, hey, have another.
That's what I'm saying. If you're already gonna do that, then why not just cut down the reps a little bit, put him in a smaller role.
So cut down the reps, give him less time to develop and hurt him. That's the way I see it. You know what I mean?
I hear what you're saying.
That's all I'm saying.
But if you're already going to run him and do all these sweeps and stuff like that.
You could bring him in for a gadget as he's doing his redshirt year, because obviously you don't burn red shirts in the NFL. But my point is the long game.
Yeah.
Why does nobody play it? You know, like if I was Irsay, I'd say I got the right coach. He's proven that. Like Shane's the right damn coach. If Shane gets fired in the next couple years over a quarterback situation, it wasn't handled properly.
Well, that
in my opinion,
that happens a lot now. Like I feel like you got to win.
look at Stefanski. He's going to get fired over this shit.
You got to win now. Like that's the only way you can really make sure that you're going to wake up and have a job the next day in the NFL for a couple.
I know, but who gives you the best chance to win now?
Joe Flacco.
That's right.
For sure.
So it checks that box and it checks the development box. So it's short game and long game, because to me, who's going to remember that we only got a couple years out of Anthony Richardson on the rookie deal? Who's going to remember that when you got to pay him? Because if you got to pay him, that'll mean he's good. Mm-hmm. And at that point, it's like, okay, well, the guy 2 years he took off, all of a sudden we have an asset that's not distressed and we can pay this guy and build around him. Or you play him, and he never quite figures it out. And worse yet, maybe he gets hurt this year. Worse, maybe he fucks his confidence up, you know, like throwing picks and sailing balls. Like some of the balls he sailed early in the season have been like hit the mascot balls, where like the stadium's just like, oh, like what happened? Was there an early whistle? Was he burning the ball? I'm a huge fan of the guy, and I think he's handled everything right. I just think Flacco should go until it doesn't work, because, like you said, it's about winning games right now. Mm-hmm. And this might be the 10-year answer, too, and you can groom him. You know, you can get him ready. I don't like the word groom anymore.
I was just about to say that.
It's crazy.
It's the crazy word to use.
They fucked it. No, it's a crazy thing. It's not a crazy word to use. It's a crazy time, dude.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy.
Richardson is also still the youngest starting quarterback in the league,
Yeah.
That's crazy.
He's got a lot of time, man.
even with rooks in the
We
league.
got so much time. We don't need to be in a rush with him. We need to be in a rush to win football games. And here's the question for Tennessee. Why can't we get Calvin Ridley the ball? Okay, you paid Calvin Ridley. They paid Calvin Ridley $750,000 a catch so far this year. And I don't – when something like that happens, I know it's easy to be like, oh, this guy's a bum. This guy's this guy's that. There's a reason he's been paid in the NFL. He's not a bad – he didn't forget how to play football. But somebody is not using him right, and maybe he's not catching the ball from the best quarterback in the league. And listen, the numbers back it up. I'm not saying this guy is like elite, but what I am saying is the truth is somewhere in between. Nick Holtz and Coach Callahan were real high on him talking this week about like, hey, it's not your fault. We're going to get you the ball. Like, and if you look at the targets,
19.
he's got 19, and the catchable target rate is 47%. Okay, this isn't us nerding out on useless numbers. What I'm talking about here is like it's easy to demonstrate. He's got 9 catches?
Yes.
Okay, 9 catches on 19 targets. Does that sound like the menu for a guy you paid a lot of money? And also the catchable target rate is under 50%. Like, I don't blame this all on him. This weekend, you got the Colts, Pickens, Odunze, Collins, Thomas Jr. all went for 100 against these guys. This is a get-right week for all the guys, but they got to beware. Indy's back is against the wall.
Good news for the Titans, though. Since 2016, they've won their first game immediately following their bye week.
8-0.
Who was their coach?
For 6 of those seasons, it was Mike Vrabel.
Vrabes.
The first 2 is Mike Mularkey.
Some of these stats, I'm not shitting on this stat, but I'm saying some of these stats can be like, like it's like the Raiders or the Broncos thing. They just broke that 10-year streak.
Yep.
At some point, you got to be like, hey, this doesn't mean anything, guys. You know what I mean? And on the other end here.
Yeah, well, it's totally fair because this is the first year in 6 without Vrabel coming off a bye.
But they had a lot that honestly, some of these teams probably looked at their bye early in the season, was like, I don't want the bye then. It was the perfect time for the Eagles. It's the perfect time for the Titans.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The Vikings, teams like that, you might say like, hey, we're hot right now. Maybe we don't need a bye. But, you can always
It's
do
just
something with a
one
bye.
bye, right? Every team just one
Yeah.
bye.
Yeah.
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 We'll sprint through these 1 p.m. or these 4 p.m. so
That's right.
we can get to Steve. Lions at the Cowboys. Cowboys are getting 3 points. The total, 52. We've got a big number. The Lions coming off a bye week. Dan Campbell, do you think he showed the team your
I hope he did. I hope he did, and I hope he
I bet he
didn't-
gave you
I hope
credit.
he didn't say, hey, look, the guys on Pardon My Take. Or the guys on, the Lions Pride. I don't want to say. I don't know who did. I got these. Pardon My Take fans, and these are my boys. But like,
They stole it.
no, they didn't steal it. I'm sure their producers gave it to PFT and those guys, and were just like, look at this cool trend. That's the way it goes. But what I hate is the fans of that pod will like assault me in my mentions, accusing me of stealing something.
Yeah,
I'm like, man, this is gaslighting.
yeah.
All right, so in general, I think that this is a bad matchup for Dallas. I really do. I don't know why. I could have this fucked up. I looked at the line and I'm like, why? Why? I know it's in Dallas, right? And like this is a house of horrors for Detroit after last year. But and maybe you could say when Dallas is healthy, the rushers, man, you can get Jared Goff off the spot. He's not going to have a clean pocket. It's not going to be like play action pass is going to be, 18 for 18 or whatever he is right now. By the way, he's got a shot to break Nick Foles' record. Most completions all time in a row. 25, I think, is the record.
Yeah, you know who Nick is tied with there? Other greats, Marcus Mariota, Ryan Tannehill, and Phillip Rivers at 25 consecutive.
I thought we were going to say he broke Kurt Warner's record. Kurt Warner once went 10 for 10. So, but I just think
Well, Dallas, as public as they come,
yeah.
the Sunday night football win bump
Yeah,
at home. The line's probably at least missing a hook,
right.
but I understand why it is where it is.
No. I mean, like, I get it. I just think there's a side here that I'm like, and maybe it seems too obvious, but look at Dallas's front. And I thought Dallas played hard last week. I just want to shout out Donovan Wilson. That guy was kicking Pat Freiermuth's ass. I mean, they list him at 200 pounds. He's in there. That guy, some of the guys on that defense came to play last week where they were like, we're some of the collisions out there. I got to hand it to them. They really did step up, and I think Zimmer got them ready to play. But like Cowboys edge guys, and I know they had to deal with the QB run. Man, Linville Joseph
Still playing. He's so
and
big.
Sayamalu's a damn good player.
He's so big, bro.
But the way he got dwarfed by that cat, and it was just like it was like a doormat, dude.
Bro.
And Isaac's so funny. I wish I could hear his account of that. Like I honestly, I want to watch that play with Lane. Lane's the best at play-by-playing like a big D lineman running somebody over. But like there were guys that were just they were filling in, right? Like they were filling in, and I thought they did a good job of being scrappy. The one thing that I think might hurt them this week is there are some replacements in there, and in Detroit's run game, if you're out of your gap, if your eyes are wrong, like they were running split zones sometimes, or like that kind of look where you had a read element off it, and the end is he's kind of taking the quarterback, and maybe he was coached to do this and run up the field and that sort of thing. But if you run up the field on the Lions trying to pull up a boot or whatever it is, like this ball is going to hit downhill, and Montgomery's going to hit his head on the goalpost, or Gibbs is going to hit his head on the goalpost. Like I think this is a great matchup. We always talk about Dallas, the middle of their defense. This is a great matchup for Detroit. And additionally, I think about the physicality that Detroit now brings to the ball game, which is part of the reason on defense too now. Part of the reason I think the hangover exists is because the front is physical. This guy BB is going to have to sit there with like, one of these big DJ Reader, Aleem McNeil guys over him. You got Hutch is going to move up and down the line, get the matchup he wants. I think that they can they can take care of business in this game. I don't know if Dallas is overvalued. I thought everybody knew Dallas wasn't that great. And then Kirk Herbstreit last night said they were one of the best teams in the NFC. And nobody blinked. And I know some people blinked, but like, are they one of the best teams in the NFC?
Well, the hangover.
Ron Bland comes back, maybe.
Hangover's not going to make it until week 7 because Dallas is on a bye.
Dallas on a bye. That's chess. So Goff.
Now is back.
So I think this is a game where Goff. I mean, like the rhythm he got in last week was impressive. When that play action's humming, that's one thing he does really well, right? And so I think the middle of the field, the middle of the defense, if they can protect him, keep him upright, they can eat against these guys. So I just think this is a Detroit spot. You think about Sam Laporta, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Does Bland come back? How do they look different? Carson's like, hey, tap me out. You know.
It lines up well for Detroit. They are first in adjusted offensive line yards. Dallas is 31st on defense. The Lions are third in early down rushing success. The Cowboys are 29th.
And Zeke was kind of, I don't know if I read this right, but Zeke was like, I don't like how they're using me in the red zone, that sort of thing. We saw him last week. He couldn't even put his pads on because his shoulder looked so jacked up. And that could have just been a nothing thing. But he hasn't been getting the ball, and so I thought it was about health. I thought it was maybe health and the fact they liked Dowdle. But we'll see because Dallas wasn't great in the red zone the other night. And, like, that was a big key to that game. And so, you know, I think if they're good in the red zone, I see why the total's high, but I kind of wonder. I think somebody thinks Dallas is going to score some points here.
Zeke ain't it for them.
Well, it's 2024.
Bro, like, bro,
you know what I'm
what are
saying?
they doing?
I do think this is a game where they can get after these guys.
A team that was pretty great in the red zone last week, God's team, 3 for 4. They are going against the Chargers this week. This is at Mile High again in Denver. We're getting 3, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. Jim Harbaugh is 1-2-1 off a bye in his NFL career. And the Chargers, I mean, how long can an injury report be?
He's 3-1 against Sean Payton.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's totally fine.
What do you think, Reed?
All good. Well, no, that what I had just said was my overconfidence.
Here's what I
nervous.
think. Here's what I think. Riley Moss is not just a fun thing to talk about. He's a factor. Like he really is. Like he's a factor for them. And when you got Surtain who can take somebody away, and you got Moss who's looks like a stud. How many teams have 2 damn good corners?
Not many.
And Vance has done a great job of tailoring this defense to the pieces that he has on the field. Again, anytime I get a chance to talk about Zach Allen and these guys up front, John Franklin Myers and all these guys, and some guys that you probably don't watch a lot, that he's gotten to play really hard. If you ever want to go watch a fun tape, go watch that Jets tape. Go watch that. I'm still thinking about that Jets tape. And they've done this to a couple teams now this year. And so I think about the Chargers, like if you don't have the run game humming, that's what it's all going to come down to, right? It's the run game. If Denver can stop the run and make them a little bit more one-dimensional, get them into some 3rd and longs, which Kansas City had them, I think, in some 3rd and longer situations in that game, they can take guys away better than Kansas City can. And so I'm really interested to see how, like if Denver finds a way to win this game, and they can, do people start taking them really seriously?
Yeah, 4 in a row. Yep.
I mean, we're top 3, I think, records.
I'm hoping for these wins, but I'm skeptical this weekend because we got the other Harbaugh brother that is going to lose to the Commanders, so that means the Chargers got to win this game.
No,
Ultimately.
That game's undetermined. Game's undetermined.
Yeah, but you do have a theory here.
It's a great theory. It's been
which
proven
I'm sure we'll
this
hear
year.
on somebody else's pod. Unless you bit it from somebody. Did you bite it from somebody?
I did not bite it from anybody.
The Harbaughs don't win the same weekend.
They don't win the same weekend, so one of them has to go down.
So I think maybe it's Commanders and
it's not.
And what if they both lose?
Let's buck the trend, right? Yeah.
What if they both lose?
Both of them go down this week.
Wow.
Have Harbaugh Senior not be able to say who's got to.
I do think the Bo Nix, at some point, Bo Nix is going to turn into a pumpkin for a week. You know what I'm saying? Just
Not
a
this
week.
week.
I hope it's not this week because this would be a big one for them to grab.
These
Troy
next
Franklin's-
two. These next two.
Troy Franklin's going to come right back. He's going to be like, Bo, I got you. I'm
Can you
catching
pull up
that
the
damn ball."
Broncos schedule real
Yeah,
quick?
Pull it up because they got a short. They could get 2 wins, bro.
We got
this time next
At
week,
Saints,
bro.
home Panthers.
Saints
They
is
play
Thursday night.
Thursday
so,
night.
Yeah.
So this time next week, Chris, we could be 2 wins closer to that total. To that total.
Look at this.
Could be 6-2.
Could be
Wow.
6-2 by next week, bro.
And then we go see the other Harbaugh.
Let's go Broncos.
Let's go Broncos. God's team.
Wow, and of course you get the Sean Payton return to New Orleans, as you guys
Yep.
just pointed out. But like, it's pretty fun, man. Fun group. If they would only wear those damn uniforms every time.
That's
week.
what it comes down to.
That's what it
Again,
comes down to.
I just want to say it one more
That's
time.
worth a win and a half a year.
It should. Yes.
Like,
I-
realistically.
I just want to say it again.
Also. Seattle's
Seattle's got.
They were great.
They could wear that every
yeah.
night.
I just want to
also.
say it again. Not all franchises do this when they bring back their throwbacks. We went all out. The borders around the field, everything. Like
Everything.
vintage,
Yeah.
vintage social media
He's
stuff.
fucking jacked about this.
They're
too.
so good.
He's
so
been jacked
good.
about this all. He was like, man, the whole
The
stadium.
fucking Bronco,
The
man.
Bronco, the vintage
and
Bronco.
And you saw the medical cart? They brought it the medical cart?
Yeah.
It was 1970s Denver.
That's
Bronco.
awesome.
Everything.
They should have done a thing where when you go in, they just shoot you up and give you like a bunch of painkillers, like
Yeah.
it's 1970 as well. Like they just, we're not giving the Chargers enough airtime here. We're not giving them enough credit. I mean, like a couple weeks ago, they were the darlings. I mean, you gotta stop these running backs. Is Joe Alt back?
Yes.
Joe Alt, like you're gonna see Mac, is Bosa back? Bosa, like those guys are gonna probably wreak a little havoc, and Bo Nix has got to take care of the football.
No practice for Bosa on Wednesday.
What would you do if they tied?
If this game was
What would you do?
that would be a win. I'd be fine with that.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, would you do something crazy if they
Oh
tied?
no, I would. I mean, I'd be happy with it. But I'll tap Howie
Wait.
Long's head again for.
Does a tie equal 0.5 wins or what is it for
Bro,
the
I
betting?
still don't understand.
I don't think it. I think,
No,
Comes down to
betting.
your
Betting. No, I'm
0.
talking about like playoffs. You're talking about gambling.
I'm talking about trying to get this
no,
over
tie
8.5.
doesn't. It's wins.
That'd be a
bro.
0.
It's a 0. What do you,
Zero?
Win total.
I
Yeah.
can't believe you're asking that.
It should be 0.5.
But
That's akin to you asking, do I get all my money as soon as they clear the win total, which was funny at the time, but now it's not so funny because they might.
That's what I'm saying.
maybe it should be loss total. Could we open up a book?
Lost total?
Instead of win total, it should be loss
That's kinda
total.
good.
Ties are great.
In the event that you fucking tie a ball game on purpose,
Come to our book.
here's what drives me crazy. When you take a second half bet or something like that and it goes to overtime and, like you lose the second half bet, but you might win the game later. It's like, come on. You know
I
the
love
situation I'm talking
The
about.
parlays I put in, I'm always for overtime.
Yeah, you like
I'm always for overtime.
All right. So
a game that felt very 1970s,
Yeah.
or a game that will feel very 1970s. Steelers Raiders. This is in Las Vegas. Raiders getting 3 points. Steelers coming off that tough primetime loss. Is this a Justin Fields get back game? Do we see Russell Wilson? Do
all
we
the
know?
receivers I love
Hammies.
they're acting up.
Yeah, George.
No, I mean like Dobbs and Pickens, like two of my favorites.
The Mercury is in retrograde.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's
that could be it.
well delivered. Good. Yeah, I think maybe it is a Mercury in retrograde thing. My mom really believes in that shit.
A lot of people do, man. And when stuff coincidentally happens all at once, hey.
But Pickens, he hadn't played as much as you'd like to see him out there. Like Tomlin's, like no big deal. But then you see him kind of like missing big opportunities in games.
and
last week,
ended the game. The helmet yank.
obviously.
Yeah,
the helmet
was
yank. The
hilarious.
game's over.
the
right?
game's over, but still, like that's
That guy's in his face.
Yeah.
Like I might have done the same thing. I might have done worse. So it's just like it, but like it's 10-6 the second drive of the second half. Like Pickens just catch the ball. Like there's certain plays where you're like these are big opportunities. You're not gonna get a lot of clean looks in this offense, right? Like This is an offense that has to get really good at taking advantage of their opportunities. And that's the whole thing is like, if they're – and last week, I don't take them at face value coming off like – because they're down two of their most dynamic players, right? Like Najee Harris is really good. He's your starting back. But I would rather have the other two guys all game and figure it out than just like cloud of dust the whole game. No, I mean, it's not hate. That's not anything. It's the hate laugh. But I would rather have two guys with different skill sets than just one back that you're just hammering into people the entire game. And then when it's time to air it out, like you have to take advantage of your shots. You have to catch the ball. You have to. And for the defense, like we're going to evaluate Justin Fields. Had the defense not given up that drive last week, we're saying, hey, Justin Fields finds a way to deliver again. And I don't think he played that well. But like, he found a way to deliver again. The defense did not deliver, and Tomlin was just thought fucking timeouts are a tax write-off. Like, what are we doing? Right?
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he was your guy last week.
Perhaps.
But this is a must-win for Pittsburgh. I don't want to say must-win, but it is a must-win. It's a fucking must-win because if you want to go where you need to go, you got to beat the teams you're supposed to beat. And this is a team you're supposed to be able to out-physical, right? You got to win this game. And also, shout out to Max Crosby, who's playing on a high ankle sprain, and that is tough. He's a dog.
He had one of the best mic'd up clips last week when
Said, Bo doesn't know.
hey,
You don't-
Bo, speak up. You got to let him know.
That's always fun.
That was great.
That's always
So, are you guys for fantasy? Would you guys play Justin Fields or Kyler Murray this week?
Kyler Murray.
I would rather play Justin Fields this week.
Kyler Murray versus the Packers or Justin Fields versus Vegas?
I think Kyler's going to rack some numbers up, whether it's garbage time or not. He might throw a couple picks.
I think it's probably Kyler.
Probably. But I don't know. Fields could be,
Christian Wilkins on IR.
I haven't set a fucking lineup in a month. Okay, so like, don't
And
ask
you still
me.
win games.
You're still winning games.
I caught that
unlike
bug
somebody.
too.
Did I beat somebody last week with my unset lineup?
I don't know.
That's got to feel
You
emasculating.
did. You had 3 spots unfilled, and he had 1 spot unfilled.
Who is he?
Ralph.
Oh, I beat Ralph?
Can you
Sorry,
imagine caring about fantasy football?
Bro, it was so
Wild.
cool for a year.
Unbelievable.
It's so cool for a year.
Nerds.
And then you're like, I have things like kids and a job and like an MGM app.
Just quickly, I'll go around the room. Fantasy lineups: Macon, the house is 2 and 3. Nate's Dr. Fax team 0 and 5. Chris's cool team 3 and 2.
I'm 3 and 2.
Matt's team 3 and 2. Yeah.
What about your team?
Oh,
What?
5 and 0. No shit. Huh.
Kevin Koenig
Wow.
says Max Crosby needs to stop talking. Spent all offseason about how the Raiders are different and how he's going to prove the haters and doubters wrong.
Call him out.
5, he's already admitting in this.
Call him out.
Yeah, Max Crosby is the problem with the team. It's hilarious. Yeah, that's the problem with that team.
Final.
The only guy out there who does anything.
Literally.
Hey.
And a couple other guys, but
Aiden O'Connell.
Starter.
I know.
O'Connell 7-2-1 against the spread last season.
also Aiden O'Connell,
Keep in mind.
possibly related to Kevin O'Connell.
Correct.
I wish we could play that clip. Had Kevin O'Connell on the first time.
I'd heat him
They
up.
just don't know.
They just, and we had a great laugh with Kevin O'Connell over this thing when we went to Minnesota. I was like, hey, do you remember last year where I closed the interview out and was like, let me paint a picture, coach. It's the Super Bowl. It's the Minnesota Vikings, and you're playing the Aiden O'Connell-led Raiders. Because somebody in my group, and I'll start the bus up. I don't usually back the bus up over people in the room, but somebody was like, hey, they're related. In the I don't know who it was. We don't need to say who it was. But I asked Kevin that question, and he was like, God, I'd probably just say heat him up, huh? Isn't that what he said?
Yeah, that's literally what he said.
And so we come up to him at camp, and I'm like, did you know that I thought you guys were related? He's like, I fucking figured. He's like, I didn't know what that was. I was like, I didn't either. No idea.
Would have been great.
It would have been great if
Had
you
they
were
been
related. Yeah, had they been related, what a question.
They need to come on the show and Ancestry.com to prove once and for all that they're not related.
Bro, we need to like make a cut up of the worst all-time questions I've ever asked. I mean, there have been some real stinkers. But
Thanks for coming on, Matt.
Thanks for coming on, Matt. Hey, Chris, this is Matthew McConaughey. Hey, Chris. No, like, thanks for coming on, Matt. All right, let's start the interview.
It's Matthew.
Hey, 1 sec before the interview starts. I don't know if you read the book that we're doing the interview about, Green Lights, that you stole the name from my book, but there's an entire chapter about how I like Matthew, not Matt, and it's because of my mama. And I was like, ready, break. Let's start the interview. I was like, okay, Matthew.
All right.
And he was so cool. But, you know, somebody as cool as Matthew McConaughey can make you feel about this big in a heartbeat. And he wasn't even trying to. He was just like, hey, man, you know, my fucking name's Matthew.
Yeah.
Didn't you read the book? And I was like, yeah, I did read the book. It's one of the first books I've read since Goosebumps.
Fire series.
Somehow I missed that. Can I ask you about the 40-foot tower you built in the woods? Fuck, man.
Final 4 p.m. game. Falcons at the Panthers. Panthers are getting 6 points. Andy Dalton, can he kind of find a little more magic that he had early in the season
Well,
after he replaced Bryce?
The Falcons are the lucky ones.
Falcons are a good team. I don't know if they're good enough to like make a run because I don't know about the pass rush, but Kirk Cousins, he was shot putting that ball for about 500 last week, just flat-footed out of the middle of that pocket. I'm just very impressed with how it's coming to fruition for them. I didn't think, you know, we laughed at Steve through the first 2 weeks of the season, but this is, again, a team that has had to go down to the wire with teams every week. We'll see if they play the Panthers to the wire. I think they're going to hopefully come into that game and try to take control of the thing. But I feel like did the Panthers play them tough last year? Somebody pull that up for me. Raheem Morris compared Darnell Mooney and Cousins, their relationship, to the Kupp-Stafford relationship a little bit. Holy.
Ooh, 9-7 game. Remember that last year?
Yeah, dude. See, that's what I'm saying.
Carolina got
It's a
him.
different team, though. It's a different team. Carolina's a different team. And with Andy Dalton, they might be pretty competitive. You know, Bates played with him, right? Jesse Bates. And those guys, they got respect for him. They were talking about him this week. Like, I don't think it's going to be necessarily a close game. But the Mooney thing is worth mentioning because I can remember earlier this season, I saw a few clips on the intranet of people just shit-talking this guy like he wasn't going to make any difference at all. And, you know, that says something about him that he's made such a big difference here because, again, it reinforces that the play caller matters and also the quarterback matters. Like, Justin Fields is not on Kirk Cousins' level yet. You know, this is a franchise quarterback that's been in the NFL for a long time and won a playoff game. Racked up a lot of yardage. This guy is playing well with this Atlanta offense. Go figure.
Mooney has 21 more targets than Calvin Ridley, for those keeping track.
Going full circle, too, because a couple years ago, that's where Ridley was.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking crazy.
And tough for
If
Andy.
he could have just hung in there through the DoorDash Desmond Ritter era, he could have been there catching the balls from Captain
Who
Kirko.
lost? Who was the one who lost that 9-7 game last year?
Desmond Ritter. What are you going to say, Cowboy?
The Panthers out. They will not have Taylor Moton or Austin Corbett on that offensive line.
You know, Alexander Waloga, you might be right. Fade the Falcons. Falcons are so average. 3 wins by virtue of unforced errors by opposing team. Can't win rushes. Can't get playmakers the ball. Panthers have a great chance. I mean, you could make. While I would say they're less contender than they are contender. They're more not a contender than they are a contender. And by contender, I mean, like, could I see them win the Super Bowl? I do see what you're saying, but at the same time, like, you can make this case for a lot of teams. Like, you know, the Chiefs should have lost a couple times. You know, are they not a good team? I know the Chiefs. I want to be fair to the Falcons. I want to be fair to the Falcons, even though I did pick the Bucs to win the division, and I did say the first couple weeks that this formula is not sustainable for them. Maybe I'm wrong.
There's a bet MGM better that doesn't want you to hear hear you say fade the Falcons. They put $250,000 on Falcons money line.
In the chat,
No, just this is a bet.
I was like,
MGM bet.
man,
Step
leave
it
me
up,
alone.
chat.
You can come work here. $250K. You want to buy in? You want some equity?
Yeah.
You want to bankroll all the stupid shit? We'll get a real grill in here.
We'll fortify a pumpkin.
Yeah, I'll get a piss bag because I got to piss again.
Yeah.
Give me a piss bag.
All right, then Sunday night. You go piss. We'll talk Sunday night.
Yeah, I'll be right back
Yeah,
in to
yeah.
finish talking Sunday night.
Yeah, bang. Bengals
player.
at
I left
Giants.
legs asleep. See about the middle leg.
Macon is the Giants fan in the room. Nolan brought up a great theory last week. Malik Neighbors' Ewing theory. He wasn't on the field. The Giants won the game. They performed higher than they had played all year. Do you agree?
No, I don't. I will welcome Malik Neighbors back into the fold this week. I kind of like the spot for the G-men since he's getting 3.5. Sunday Night Football. Giants are at home. Big 9-point win over Seattle last week. One thing that might hold me back a little bit. Daniel Jones, 1-14 straight up in his career in primetime games. That's a 6.6% win rate. Lowest percentage of all quarterbacks with at least 5 starts since 2003. I don't know, though. I think these Giants are a little plucky. They can get after you a bit.
They lead the league in sacks. Or what do they say? Yeah, lead the league in sacks.
And probably should have won that Dallas game.
Who's covering Jamar Chase? Who's covering
Probably
T. Higgins? I know it was Banks, but then the next one. Who's covering T. Higgins?
Tyler Nubin over the top.
Okay.
Just, you know.
Who's covering Mike Gesicki? Who's stopping Joe Burrow this weekend? You think they lose this game? Nate, have you said this yet? I want to hear you on record. Are they going to win or lose this game?
I think the Bengals players, they will be booking their trips to Mykonos after this Giants game.
They're going to Greece?
Probably. And since they can do
Is that
it,
because they're cooked?
and,
There's grease.
and since
You got
and
grease on the brain?
since they can book the trip knowing
Yeah.
when their season will be over after they lose this game, it's gonna feel good. Like
So do they lose the game or not?
I think that they do lose the game.
Okay.
And I think like this is gonna be Malik Neighbors, 2 to 3 touchdowns. It's gonna be a big game.
Wandale.
And yeah, like Jamar Chase is gonna ball out.
Has
but I
has
think-
Malik Neighbors practiced this week?
No.
so?
19 minutes ago, Adam.
He's been ruled out.
Giants.
Okay. What now?
Ewing. Hey, Ewing theory, baby.
Doing theory.
So they
Only need Rondale Robinson.
look at you guys. The
Yeah.
casting couch is on the same page of this game.
Big play slay 2 anytime touchdowns.
Do
There
you,
go.
Macon? Do you think they win? The Giants win this weekend?
I like 3.5 points.
I'm not trying to like catch you here. You like 3.5 points, yeah. It's good to know.
I
About to tape a gambling show.
no, I don't think they win. I think Cincy's on the path to getting right.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. I just, hey, listen, if the offensive line wasn't playing as decent as they played, like, and I don't want to say great, but they played well. Joe wasn't sacked last week. I know that was like, or 2 weeks ago, right? Was that last week he didn't get sacked? Against the Ravens? How many?
Yeah.
He didn't take it? No, I don't. It's like the years kind of run together.
Yeah, so many losses.
Yeah, Ravens last week.
Trying to sort it out, you know?
Ravens was last week.
Huh?
Cincy, Baltimore was last week.
Yeah. No, but I'm
he
saying
was sacked. He was sacked 3 times
And
last
the
week.
week before was none. So,
Against Carolina.
you know, we were trending in the right direction. Gave him a couple sacks last week, but it didn't slow him down. Their starting 5 is pretty much intact with Mims getting carted off and then coming back. Is that how I understood it happening? Like, you know, the other guy's playing pretty well. Brown
Yeah.
playing pretty well. I think they can protect, although I really do have a lot of respect for these Giants edge guys. And Dexter Lawrence is on pace for
Sexy Dexy.
he's on pace for like do you remember when people were like they missed on him?
Yeah. I mean, that's everyone's favorite thing to do.
Oh, they missed on him. Hey, not necessarily. The guy might be one of the best in the league.
It's nice.
He's nice.
Andrew Thomas was also a miss.
Oh, it was a miss
year
too,
one.
right?
Yeah.
Got to give guys time.
Yeah.
You know, got to give linemen time. You know, especially.
And do you take anything like have you seen Joe Burrow this week in his press conference? He does not look happy.
I wouldn't. Would you want him to look happy? If he looked happy, you'd be like, he's going to Mykonos. Why are we getting ads in our YouTube for industrial screws?
Screws?
Are you seeing this?
It's
Bulk
targeted. So if you
there's a bunch
so
of
you've
fucking there's a bunch of men in here.
or you've been looking at
You
screws.
targeted off of you.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
You were talking about your wife building stuff. There you
That's
go.
true.
Oh.
And we were screwing in this
screwed.
picture of Lance Lynn.
Yep.
Can I show you Lance Lynn here as the show gets into the twilight here? This guy, Lance Lynn, is still playing baseball. I met him in the clubhouse before I sailed that first pitch, and I was like, he's a player?
He's a player. He plays baseball.
I was like, I like that guy. Bro, he's just a fucking dude, bro. He had some flow in the back. He's about my age. You know, everybody else looks so young and athletic. Shout out to Lance Lynn. That's why he's...
I was gonna say it's. Oh, nice.
There you go.
And,
Reed screwed 2 screws. And that's why... What else is targeted here? What else are they fucking targeting me for?
I know we're having some Ewing theory fun.
Yeah?
Not great that Malik is missing a second straight game with a head injury.
No, that's not great. But he was at the Travis Scott concert the other day, which...
That was an old video.
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah.
Good. See, that's where we get fucked over on
Yep.
this stuff.
Old video.
It's the age of misinformation.
Yep.
Travis Scott, because I'm like, Travis Scott concerts are loud, bro.
Yeah,
I've been to
really.
one.
And
Travis
bright.
Scott is like a rock star when he does a concert.
Yeah.
Super rock star.
He was like, he climbed on a big mechanical dragon that was breathing fire when I saw him. It was crazy. I think he rode his security like a horse. Seriously. He got on his security shoulders. Like when I go upstairs, my son is like, will you carry me? And I'll be like, go to pick him up. He's like, shoulders. And so like Luke, when I put him up there, like that's how Travis Scott was riding like grown men around the arena. Yeah, that's a concert that if you have a concussion, don't go to. It's a good thing that wasn't
That
the
was
case.
old. Yeah, for sure.
Just, hey, misinformation out there.
Just so y'all know. 30 seconds on Bills at Jets. This is our Monday night game. Jets getting 2.5 points. This will be Jeff Ulbricht's first game as interim head coach, and then we'll hear from BetMGM and then pick.
It's at New York.
Yep.
Well, they won the last primetime game at home, right? Didn't they? That was the game Rodgers popped his Achilles.
Week one.
I kind of almost felt like conspiracy theory here. Maybe Josh's concussion is worse than we think. Well, oh yeah, we're not even supposed to know he has a concussion. But maybe like whatever is ailing him is worse than we think, and it's gotten around league circles. And that's why Woody fired. I mean, besides the phone call with Rodgers, maybe that's why Woody fired him, knowing that like he's gonna like get Mitchell Trubisky Monday and they're gonna win, and everybody's gonna say great decision. Or maybe he just thought like we got a chance to get the Bills, and I do think they have a chance to get the Bills. I do think so because the Bills, like when you take away, and I don't know if Shakir's gonna be back. Is Shakir gonna be back? That was a big deal missing him. But like if you can man up, and they got some guys that can like. You know, the Bills wide receivers, as I said before, are enough to win for you. But this is going to be tough sledding playing against these guys. Now,
Shakir did not practice yesterday.
what does Todd Downing do? Todd Downing was the guy in Tennessee, right? And he was with me in St. Louis. But, like, Todd Downing was, and I like Todd, was there in Tennessee when Tannehill was rolling. So what do you glean from that? Like, it's going to be Rodgers' offense. He's just the one calling it, right? Like, the other guy wasn't as good at calling Rodgers' offense. This guy's going to be better. We'll see. I don't know. I think they could win, but that doesn't mean they're going to be okay. Here's what I can see happening. I could see them winning this game and everybody saying, look, right, it was the right move, and then them going back to being the Jets.
Yeah.
Hate to say that because the Bills are on the doorstep of being 3-3.
3-2 right
Rich
now.
asked me if they were the best team in the AFC. Jinx my boys. You know?
Hey, these interim coaches, 51% against the spread. So flip your coins now.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one. No, I did see that. I did see that. But you know what? There is an argument to be made that's actually like 60% because those are all bad teams.
That's
the
fair.
fact that they're covering more than 50% of the time, tells you something.
Yep.
Now, I'm sure the line bakes that in, but I would look at the straight-up numbers. I bet you interim teams that are dogs win more often than they would otherwise because that's a real thing, dude.
Yep.
I don't know that it doesn't really paint the picture, but okay, we got to pick a
After we hear from BetMGM.
Oh, yeah, obviously. As we get ready for Week 6 in the NFL this weekend, I want you to picture this. You bet your favorite player as first touchdown scorer, but he throws a block to send a teammate into the end zone, which seemingly loses your bet,
Oh.
right? Wrong. With BetMGM's second chance promotion, you'll get your stake back if your first touchdown scorer scores second. Bet on any pro football player to score the first touchdown of the game. If you're right, you win. If your player scores second, you get your stake back in cash. Keep that in mind next time you throw in a first touchdown score bet with BetMGM. Happy hunting. Nate, that's you.
Bang, bang.
First anytime touchdown.
All right, we got to give out some merch, right?
Matt, you want to read
the
out
list.
the names and who
I get veto
what commenter gave it?
Yeah, I'll save the names for now. I have them all written though, like the commenters' names. So we got Adalius Thomas, Jamal Lewis, Clinton Portis, Matt Stover, Derek Mason, Santana Moss, Pierre Garçon, Tony Siragusa, LeVar Arrington, Rex Grossman, Marshall Yanda, Lorenzo Alexander, Paul Kruger, Kyle Bowler, Danelle Ellerby, Mark Clayton, Chidi Ahonatu,
Ahonatu,
thank you.
Yeah.
Sean Drawn, Keenan McCardell, Lorenzo Taliaferro, and James Digbo.
I can't. I just can't. It's too late in the show.
Matt Stover's a great one.
Matt Stover's my winner.
Yeah,
Here's my winner. I mean, Matt Stover's random, but if you want to go random, like I think Lorenzo Alexander was a hell of a player that people forget. I also think Pierre Garçon is one of the best, most underrated players of our generation.
But I think Colt.
Trained with him.
Huh?
I think Colt when I think Pierre Garçon.
You do? Well, I would like to put Lorenzo Alexander in the mix. You guys put Matt Stover in the mix.
I think most of those guys were too good to be random.
I don't know, though. How many people, if you walk down the street and ask them, do you remember Lorenzo Alexander?
No. I agree with that one. That's a good one. So was Adalius Thomas.
But Garçon is not, I don't know if he's, like, Lorenzo Alexander had a damn good career.
Yeah.
I mean, how many fucking buckets did Lorenzo Alexander get? There was a time span there where he was balling, dude.
33.
Someone said Brian Arakpo.
He only had 33? Damn. There was a time where I was like, man.
Brian Rapko's a good one. The last time I saw him, he was doing the cupcake commercial.
Never mind. Lorenzo Alexander had one year, and most of the other ones he was, that's a good one. Yeah, you're right, mate. So let you break the tie. Somebody else break the tie. I don't want to be the
Between
Lorenzo Alexander or Matt Stover.
Tanner.
I was going to say Nate.
Break the tie, bro.
between
I'll
who?
do
What's the two?
Lorenzo Alexander
Break
and
it,
Matt
guy.
Stover.
Break
my
it.
guy.
Alexander.
There you go.
All right, so who won?
HDC.
Oh, HDC. Congratulations.
HDC,
What's
shoot
your
us.
size, bro?
Yeah, shoot us.
Or sis?
Shoot us a DM, Twitter, Instagram, either one. And we'll get in touch and we'll get you your hoodie.
Guys and gals, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you're enjoying the live. I'm totally covered here. I hope you're enjoying the live show. It makes things a lot easier for us. It's fun to just come in here and cut it on and have the whole gang in. Hope you like the new digs in here. I love it, bro. I feel this is great. I see everybody.
Nice and comfy on the love set.
It's comfy.
Only missing like a catheter bag.
Yeah, dude. If we could just get some piss bags in here.
Yeah.
Easier
Would be
for you to
rocking.
jump up and go, though, without the table.
No, it really is a
Right?
lot easier.
Yeah.
Honestly. And plus, having the table up here just feels like, you should listen to me. I have something to say. I'm a news anchor. You know what I'm saying? This is more like, hey, welcome to my fucking living room. We're just going to talk some ball. Hey, guys, gals, see y'all. I know maybe some people don't like gals. What should I say?
Broads.
No! Tell
Men
me
and
your
women.
Jeopardy thing.
Oh,
This is ridiculous.
African American sports history. I tweeted it. They show a picture of Art Shell.
I was afraid to retweet it because the guy was so ridiculous.
My guy goes, "Who is Brown?"
I was like,
No.
what? You go, Mark.
Mark.
Anyways, yeah, guys, gals, thank you so much for joining us. We will be back Monday live. But before then, if you got bets you want to put in, check out me, Macon, and Stanford Steve tomorrow morning on youtube.com or on wherever you get your audio podcasts.
And the last thing, Alexander Waloga says, Chris, $2. He gave us $2. Bet Carolina 27-23. You're welcome for TB.
Wow.
Nice guy.
23.
I like Carolina. I like betting Carolina this weekend. That's an icky one. That's a hold your nose special. I like that. Not. I don't like it that much. So Just wait, we're going straight into
Taking
recording
notes.
that betting show. Y'all take care.